All right, I believe we are officially live.
Word, word.
We are live.
I bet. Uh, Welcome into Down to the Wire. I'm Brian Costa,
I'm Carter Adams.
I'm Tyler Tucker.
and this is our first annual holiday special. Boys, we're back.
First annual. First annual.
Yeah,
First of
dude,
many.
dude, how
Go.
you guys? How do you guys feel, dude?
Feel great. I'm ready for next semester already.
Dude, for real. I mean, we've just been locked in like the house like crazy already. I mean, like,
Yep.
dude, it's basically at this point. Can second semester come? Can it just basically come already?
Yep.
I'm just trying to hang out with people again, dude.
Exactly. Trying to
But I
move
mean,
out again.
but I mean, guys, I can't believe we're actually back on. I mean, so this is the first time we've been back on since our semester finale, which we did back in November, and we took like a month hiatus, and it feels good to be back on with you guys. I mean, I like the time off, but I also really like doing this type of stuff.
I
On
agree,
YouTube
man.
now. On
Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube now.
yeah, actually, yeah. For anyone watching, we're official. I mean, this is the first actual live stream that we're doing on YouTube. We typically do it on Facebook, but we decided to switch it up for this time, and we're gonna hope for the best, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm,
so
I'm
far
liking the
it's going well.
format so far. It's been pretty
Yeah,
easy.
yeah. Luckily, I mean, Zoom also was in our favor a ton today because, like, because of the holidays and stuff like that, they decided to make any all calls unlimited because we were trying to figure out, are we gonna have to do this on Google Meets or Microsoft Teams, and thank God Zoom just basically said, oh yeah, for the holidays it's free. So I'm
Right
just
at
like,
the perfect time too.
literally at
Shout
the
It
out
could
perfect
not
Zoom.
have
time,
been more
dude.
perfect.
For the literally at the right moment.
It
Now
was
we
an
just
issue.
need that. Now we
Yep.
just need that
And then
Zoom.
it just wasn't.
We need that Zoom sponsorship. Help us get through.
Bro, for real. I mean, this year in general has just been full of ups and downs. We started this podcast slash radio show in, I think it was February 16th was our first show. We did it in the Koffler Center, didn't record anything. But we had a great time doing it. I remember, like, there's that video of us just celebrating after the first show. Uh, like it was just absolute pandemonium after the first show, and we've only gotten better from there. We had the quarantine special. Now we're doing this. It's pretty crazy to think that we've already come so far in such a short amount of time. Now we're moving to YouTube. I think we're all thinking possibly about putting this on Spotify and other platforms down the road. So I think we're all very thrilled about where this is going.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
big
Very
Yeah.
time.
thrilled.
We've also been up to just a bunch of stuff over this kind of hiatus. Some of us more than others. I mean, I've just been kind of chilling out at home, trying to find a job. I tried doing DoorDashing, but my car kind of just really ate it, and so I'm really not doing too much working wise. Carter ended up getting a job over at Cumbies, and
Yup.
Tyler, I'd probably say had the most interesting break so far. I mean, dude, you took off to Florida in the
Yeah.
middle of in the middle of a week during a global pandemic. Like, bro,
Mm-hmm.
like, can you just explain how that happened?
Yeah. So actually, it's a very long story of how we got there, but I'll just give you like some of the details. So
Well, first of all, Tyler, for anyone who doesn't know, you're actually doing a second podcast now.
Yep.
You want to, so if you also want to maybe tell the audience about your second favorite podcast that you're doing,
Yeah.
a part
So
of.
the second best podcast on the planet out there, the Be Under Par podcast. It's I've kind of found my niche this, I guess, summer to be golf, and
Yeah.
I got a lot of local buddies that kind of share the same passion. We're actually gonna have one of those buddies on soon. And we all kind of just decided that we want to create something surrounded around golf. So we've been working on podcasting, YouTube videos. We're trying to grow an Instagram. We're trying to really build this Be Under Par brand.
You've successfully grown an Instagram so far. I mean, I checked your followers and it was pretty low. I mean, and then
Yeah,
it just shot up. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude,
I was
We
like,
actually,
you guys are over a K that quick. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
like how'd you guys even
Wow.
do that? Like, we're
Well,
still like 150.
well, we were in Florida. We played the Deltona Country Club, and
Yeah.
you guys probably never heard of this guy, but we ran into this guy called Colin McCarthy Golf. He's got
Okay.
about 70,000 followers.
Is
And
he a Scottish
Jesus.
ginger?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking
Um,
of the wrong guy.
But we ran into him, and we just got talking, and we were like, "Hey, how do you grow a brand? Like, what's the deal?" And we we wrapped up with him, and he gave us a shout out on his story. So
That's
that was really
sick.
cool. That definitely
Nice.
boosted up. But
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
Tyler, I think if you want to talk about this more, I think your buddy from Be Under Par is officially in the waiting room.
all right,
you know,
well,
you want to give him
joining
a
now
welcome?
is a member of the Be Under Par crew, Connor Bailey. CB, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
I was just informing our audience about the whole Be Under Par and about a segue into our trip recently. So
Yes, sir.
just
So-
want to give your side of like what Be Under Par is and what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Don't play golf. Don't even think about it. If you're considering it, don't. No. Be Under Par. So yeah, we started a golf brand, right? It's me, your boy Tyler, Dylan,
TT.
Mojo, yeah, TT, and my brother-in-law Shane. And basically, we're about just being under par on and off the golf course. And to a lot of people, that sounds contradictory. You don't want to be under par off the golf course, but it takes. I mean, in any sport, it takes a lot of work to play at the highest level. You want to be under par in golf. We want to take that mindset to be under par off the golf course.
Yeah.
And last week we just spontaneously hopped in a car at midnight on a Monday.
Yeah, we decided
Go for it.
we decided at what 9:45 that night that you know what, we're getting in the car and going to Jacksonville.
Screw it, let's go to Florida.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we hopped in the car and we just drove to Florida, played 5 golf courses in 5 days.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tyler, I'm from what I also heard from you. Apparently, you guys couldn't get there quick enough because I guess on your way down, you ran into some issues.
Yeah, I had some
I-
trouble with the law.
Tyler was a joy. He took the midnight ride and then he did
Yeah.
great the whole way. And then right over the North Carolina border, he got pulled over.
Yeah, I went 8 hours straight
Wow.
from 12 to 8 in the morning, and
You
Yeah.
made it pretty far though. That's
yeah,
impressive.
I did.
That's crazy.
I would have went
Drank
farther if I didn't.
I think he was 8 Red Bulls deep though by then.
Oh yeah, big time.
yeah.
But yeah, it was loads of fun. You know, we really didn't plan anything. We kind of just went for it, and we played a ton of golf, and it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah. I mean,
and we
dude,
actually-
oh yeah, go ahead, dude.
No, I was just saying we actually just started a podcast too for our channel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where-
I mean, I've been listening to it a ton. It's actually I'm really enjoying it. For anyone who doesn't know it, it's already on Spotify. It's literally it's just Be Under Par podcast, right?
In
Yep.
a part podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can find it in our Instagram bio too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it. You guys actually just put up an episode, I think like earlier today.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
recorded it in Florida at the Airbnb.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's actually really
Man.
cool, guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
New episodes every Monday. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Check out the YouTube as well. Be Under Par. Check out our
Yeah.
Instagram. Be.under.par. A lot of things coming. A lot of big things
We
coming.
got vlogs
I love
coming.
it. I love it.
That's sick.
And what's cool about it too is we have golfers of all skill levels. So me and my boy Dylan, we've been playing our whole lives, and then Tyler, we just got him into it, but 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
So we
just
get
about.
different videos and different levels and stuff. Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
gonna have
from-
some guests coming on.
from the looks of it, I mean, I Tyler Hooks, world's better than I feel like he probably thought he was gonna be at this point. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I remember Tyler was kind of saying like he did like high school golf and stuff like that, but like even Carter was talking about it earlier when we were just talking before we ever did the show, and he was just saying how much Tyler's form has just really come together and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
Beautiful
Actually-
swing now.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you decided not to do baseball, we were like, yeah, come play golf. So he gets there the first day. He takes the plastic off his driver, first tee, and he's like feeling confident, and he rips it 90 degrees left and nails the clubhouse.
Yeah, it was not a shining moment on my
But-
career.
But look at him now.
Damn.
Look at
Yeah.
him now.
I
Yeah.
sandbag all you guys down in Florida. Took some
Yeah.
money and had a good time.
But yeah, that's what we wanted. We want to spread the message that golf can be fun. Golf doesn't have to be something for just old people. Meet people. It's fun.
Yeah.
We love
Yeah.
it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone who sucks at golf, I mean, it's really inspiring seeing Tyler be able to rise up through the ranks the way he did and really, really develop a nice
Yeah.
swing. I mean, like you were saying, I mean, I unfortunately suffer from the same baseball swing syndrome where it's just like I'm bending in all the wrong places, and I'm also probably going to shoot that thing 90 degrees into the clubhouse as well. So, I mean, Tyler, I feel you, dude.
Yeah. No, it was a battle, but we got there. So
that's how you do it. But Connor, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show to talk about Be Under Par. For anyone who wants to follow you guys, is there? Do you want to just do like a last little shout out?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Shane. He's our kind of group leader. He's been, still facilitating everything, keeping us under control. Shout out to you guys at The Wire. Thanks for having us on. Follow us
Absolutely.
on Instagram, b.under.par. I appreciate it. Check us out and play golf if you've never done it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I love the brand. I love the meeting. Keep working.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Connor
man.
Bailey, everyone.
thanks,
for
man.
coming on, man.
Appreciate it. I'll see you guys.
So, I mean, it's awesome that we actually are able to. It's actually crazy, Tyler, that you did start a golf podcast and all that stuff. I mean, the crazier part for me is when I just saw on your Instagram and you just said, "Oh, yeah, by the way, we're in Florida." I was just like, "How did that happen?" And I was just like, and then I saw you were at Top Golf, and I was like, "Oh my god."
We did it all. We actually played the mini golf course at Top Golf, and it was not your average mini golf course. It was
Really?
I can
intense.
imagine.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, if it's anything like the driving range there, I mean, it's probably just got to be like insane.
Oh man, we had a great time at the driving range. We actually all walked up with our full bags, and we were the only people there that did that. So we were getting some nasty looks, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So then, it's awesome that we were able to talk about the Be Under Par podcast. Shout out to you guys, holding it down over there. I mean, I also I wanted to, just talk about my personal struggles over this break. I was, in my fantasy football playoffs, and I just lost in the most tragic way recently. I mean, I'll talk to it more about the special guest we're having on the show in a little bit, because he's partly responsible. He's responsible for the reason this is happening. But I was playing in the semifinals, and literally some of my players just didn't clutch up. I mean, Tyler, you're a Vikes fan. I feel like you can attest to this. Thielen didn't have the greatest day on Sunday.
Thielen had a tough game.
Yeah, I also had DK Metcalf. Also, he didn't hold it down. And then the one that really killed me was Evan Ingram, because even after the trash game he had the audacity to go on Twitter and talk about his Pro Bowl nod, and I was just like, bro, you cost me my season. But the thing that teased me the most was it came down to the Monday night game between Steelers and Bengals, and literally I'm leading at this point by like less than 2 points, and I put out on Twitter, and I tweet at Ryan Finley, and I was like, Ryan Finley, if you hold the Steelers under 2 points, I will get your jersey. I was like, I don't care, just please. And he ended up holding them to 2 points, which ended up not being enough. I ended up losing by 0.18 points, and now I'm just absolutely just completely just emotionless after that game. I'll talk to it. I'll talk about that.
That's a tough loss,
bro. I am so pissed off. I mean, I had Logan Thomas on my bench who got 20 points. I mean, dude, it was a roller coaster.
Now, Brian, a question for you. Ryan Finley did come through for you, though. Are you gonna still buy a jersey?
Bro, I said he's got to win me. I said he's got to win it for me.
You're right.
No dice. But
that's true.
I feel like it's about time to finally really transfer into talking about sports, and to welcome in. We're going to end up going over to the NBA, and I think it's only appropriate that we welcome in one of our guests that we've really just had talk about NBA every time we, kind of like, at least lately when we talk NBA on this show. It's also because he's a Rockets fan, and his team is falling apart. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jake Marchand. Let's see if he gets in.
Mr. Jake Marchand.
The Jacob Marchand.
Jake Marchand, welcome into the.
There he is.
How's it going?
Good.
Welcome
in.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Dude, how's your break been?
Pretty good.
It's been going pretty good. Hanging in there.
Yeah. I feel
Now,
you, dude.
Jake, have you been hitting the strip clubs as hard as James Harden, or no?
I will refrain from answering.
No, he's been throwing bigger tantrums though.
Oh,
yeah, true. I mean, Jake, I like having you on to talk NBA because you watch more NBA than a lot of us. So I feel like you do have some expertise there. But I also like bringing you on because it is kind of fun to make fun at your team's expense how James Harden is basically just walking catastrophe at this point. So it's also partly kind of just humoring myself at the fact that the Rockets are just completely falling apart.
I'll join in on making fun of James Harden. He's not worth the effort at this point.
I mean, dude, like what has happened with him? He like literally went from a guy who, I really didn't see him as anything as like really problematic, but he threw a basketball at a teammate in practice the other day, like
a rookie too.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is happening with him? Like, do you have any really any like idea of what is happening with Harden? I mean, like, is it really that bad in Houston that he needs out?
I think Russell Westbrook's gone. That era is over in Houston, and I think he wants out, but he's going about it the wrong way. Yeah. I think he put in for a trade, and officially, like I remember, he said he wanted to go to like the Nets, and then they were talking to the Heat as well. But when those didn't pan out, he just started throwing temper tantrums and just not acting like a professional even. Yeah. So he's just not handling himself well, and it's looking bad for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are some things with that whole strip club story. I guess he is saying that that he was actually that he put out a thing on his Instagram and he was like, "Listen, I was at an event for a friend of mine. It was not an event at a strip club, but it was an event." And I'm just like, and part of me is just like, I don't know, like the fact that like there's just so much scrutiny under this guy with this guy right now. It's not really looking good for James Harden. Like, I feel like it kind of is reminiscent of the whole AB situation in Oakland, where he was just trying to do anything to get out at that point. And that's just really what it reminds me of, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the problem with the Rockets is they're asking for way too much. I mean, from the Nets, they wanted Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert, and then first round. And then from the 76ers, their initial package was Ben Simmons and 2 first-round picks. So James Harden, don't get me wrong, he's good. I've never liked him, but he's a good basketball player.
Oh, yeah.
But they're just asking for way too much. They're not going to get that much from those teams.
Well, and even just the way he's acting as like so unprofessional, like he's just lowering his value. Like what team is going to want to bring that in? Like he's like because of COVID, he's putting the team at risk. Like, I mean, I know there was something about John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins getting haircuts, and like the team only had like 8 players for tonight's game, so it was postponed.
Jesus,
but it's not looking good.
Yeah, I knew there was a big COVID outbreak with that. I mean, there was also the other big thing that happened with Harden was that he showed up to camp looking like just absurdly overweight. I mean, he caused Rick Ross to trend on Twitter because of the way he was looking out there.
Big boss Rick Ross.
I was like, bro, that's brutal. I mean, have you also seen the pictures of him this year? He's gone through like 2 transformations of like looking insanely frail and skinny like during the pandemic, and then like once he got to the bubble, he like bulked up again, and then he lost it again, and then gained it back again. I'm just like the dude is like a chameleon. Like he's able to he's just able to like just completely like he's like a shapeshifter.
I can't tell what's photoshopped anymore. Like some Instagram pages will post like, what if these NBA players were overweight? And there's a picture of James Harden. It's like, is that real? Like, I can't tell.
Yeah. It's like that picture of like LeBron where it's like LeBulk.
Yeah.
Jake, you should get Harden on your running plan because he'd cut that in a week or 2 on your system.
He couldn't keep up.
Dude. I mean, Tyler ain't wrong. I mean, if you got James Harden on your running plan, dude, he'd
play more defense, that's for sure.
Yeah,
he probably would.
I wouldn't give him that much credit, Carter. I wouldn't give him that much credit. But I mean, it's definitely a really difficult situation to kind of just like really gauge at this point with Harden, because like, I mean, should the Rockets at this point really try to mend the relationship with them in your opinion, or do you think they should really just try to get him out the door at this point?
I think if they can get him out for something that they see as valuable enough, I understand that. Like when we were talking to the Heat, like they were trying to go for Tyler Hero, and like the Heat in official statement said he wasn't untouchable, meaning like they wanted to keep him, but like didn't want to rush to part with him. So like I was kind of excited for the possibility of that, but with Harden lowering his value and just like bring the whole team down, it's going to be tough to get like a fair trade, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
So
No.
I think like hold on to him if you need to and try to wait for his value to go up. Let him get some stats in the middle of the season, you know, because that's what he goes for. But
Yeah,
see what you can do.
It makes a ton of sense.
But
I mean,
do you think he can even bring up his value to where he was before? I mean, I think this has damaged his career so much. I'll be shocked if they get like I don't even know, Chris Middleton for him, you know?
I mean, I think you're getting more than Chris Middleton for James Harden. But I feel like at this point, like, you know, in a lot of these deals, they say that in a lot of these deals, they say that the team getting the superstar is usually the team that wins. Like, you know, they were talking. I mean, I remember that was like a big thing with the Kyrie trade to Boston. That was like kind of a whole thing, and that really didn't work itself out. Do you think this kind of has a similar situation that it could be like the Kyrie trade, where it's like the team that gets them thinks that they're gonna be getting like a really solid like basket of goods, but then they end up realizing that he may be more toxic than they initially thought?
I think it could go that way, but he's made the message pretty clear on and off the court. He wants out.
Or
So
do you think he's literally just trying to be like, I want to get out and then I'll kind of like shape up like once I'm elsewhere?
I don't know. I see him like I know he said he wants to go to the Nets, but like the Nets in the season opener last night, they played fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Warriors weren't at full strength with Klay Thompson out with a season-ending injury and Draymond not on the floor. But I don't know. I think he wants to go to the Nets or somewhere where he can have a better shot at getting a ring.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, the Nets seem to have pretty solid chemistry right now. I mean, you know, Kyrie and KD is a pretty, you know, those personalities have had pasts of being pretty toxic. So I mean, the fact that, you know, it seems to be working out so far is pretty good for Brooklyn. I don't know if adding James Harden with all the controversy he's been stirring up is necessarily the best move to do at this point. But you know, if Steve Nash and that Brooklyn squad feels like they can handle you know, an entire that boat of personalities, then I mean, if they can get it for a good price, then I'd probably say I'd push the button on it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Carter and Tyler, what do you guys think?
Well, were you talking about the Nets? A Nets trade potentially?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was just reading the show map. Yeah, I think a James Harden trade to the Nets will absolutely blow up, and I don't think that would be good at all. Maybe you can get 2 good seasons before he starts throwing temper tantrums on the Nets, and I think it's just too many superstars in one spot to ever work itself out.
I don't think the Nets can give the Rockets enough to make up.
Harden wants to play with someone like Kyrie. He wants to play with KD and Kyrie, right? You can't give Kyrie away in the trade. That's why Harden wants to go there.
Yeah, true. I mean, the Nets do have a lot of guys outside of KD and Kyrie. I mean, just in terms of depth in general. I mean, you do have like DeAndre Jordan, you do have Karis LeVert, and just a bunch of guys like that really can, you know, be a plus for your team. But it's definitely going to be tough to, you know, really formulate.
And I don't even think the Nets, it's worth it for them. I mean, they have enough depth. They have the 2 superstars they need. It's not really necessary for them to go out and get James Harden. So
yeah, no, it really doesn't make a ton of sense right now for that. I mean, if they're rolling right now, I'm almost just like, you know, like let's see where this. I mean, they should at least try to see where it goes right now, like where their team can, you know, at least go from right now before they try to shake everything up. I mean, it seems that they finally have a good thing going with their program, which they haven't had for, you know, the better part of over 10 years at this point. So I feel like they should at least try to see what they have before they do anything too drastic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Also in NBA news, we saw the NBA return last night after a shortened off season rather, due to the NBA bubble playoffs. You know, the first game that we saw last night was Warriors versus Nets. We saw it was KD's first regular season game back against his old team. And the Warriors had to go up against them down Klay Thompson for another year after he suffered just another, you know, catastrophic injury, this time to his other leg, ACL tear on that end. You know, the Nets just really took it to the Warriors and really just beat them handily. I mean, you know, just looking at that game, it really does seem like they're gonna, you know, be in good shape. for this
Yeah,
season.
they look like a really solid team out there, but can't forget the fact that Kelly Oubre did yam on KD. That was a
true.
sweet move by
That was a
him.
great
but,
moment.
Yeah.
Did you also see the thing that I think James Wiseman, the rookie center that the Warriors drafted, also finished with like 19 points. So he's already contributing for that team. I mean, the one thing the Warriors really did need during all those title runs was a solid big man, and the most solid big man that they had during those runs was Andrew Bogut. And I mean, the fact that they were still able to be as dominant as they were during those runs with a guy who like that says a lot. And I mean, I think if Wiseman can keep on progressing, like the Warriors have a chance to really build this thing back and make another run. I think when Clay is healthy.
Yeah, and that's the most amazing thing about the Golden State Warriors is that the three-peat Golden State Warriors managed to, in the offseason, get arguably the number one prospect out of college in James Wiseman, depending on who you ask. Add him to the roster, and then you still got to think they got Draymond Green coming back. They got Klay Thompson coming back. They picked up solid bench pieces in Kelly Oubre. So they're going to, within the next maybe year, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. So then the second game we ended up seeing part of the opening night slate was Lakers versus Clippers. Obviously the world champs took on their rival. But there was some controversy kind of going into the game a little bit. It kind of had died down, but beforehand there were some rumors that apparently that Clippers general manager Jerry West referred to the Lakers as, quote, a shit show as they were trying to pursue Kawhi Leonard in free agency. I mean, what were you guys' thoughts on, like, I mean, did you guys hear about that story? Because I heard of that and part of me is just like, I'm thankful that Jerry West said that, because if he didn't, there might be an insane super team instead of just the one that already exists in LA. But I'm also kind of just like, what the hell is Jerry West talking about? Because the Lakers were just absolutely insane this year. I mean, it was kind of like that. It was kind of like that. I'm very thankful that he said it, because, we could be looking at a title run like we've never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, granted, would it have been awesome to see Kawhi Leonard on that Lakers team? Yeah, but I don't know. I really don't know what Jerry West was referencing to. Maybe he was talking about the Bucks' ownership, because that's always been put into question.
Yeah.
And kind of how, there's been some turmoil. Magic Johnson quit as president a season in, and there's a lot of drama with bringing AD in and practically giving up their future. So that could be what he's in reference to, but I don't see it. They've had their share of drama and rumors over the seasons, but I don't think it's any more or less than anyone else. I mean, and if you want to talk drama and rumors on the Clippers side, there's one name that comes to mind that he provided some trouble for the Clippers. So if Jerry West is calling anyone a shit show, I'd point it right back at the Clippers and say, well, you had a Donald Sterling, so I don't know.
Oh, that isn't what I was actually going to talk about.
I was thinking Paul George.
Yeah, I was thinking Paul George.
Pandemic P.
I wasn't going that deep.
Yeah, I wasn't going back that far, actually, Tyler. I was thinking more of the fact that Pandemic P is just really looking just brutal out there. Did you see that? Did you guys see that clip of him just passing the ball to the ref?
Yeah, he was a nightmare as well, but.
Dude, he
ended up finishing with like 30 something points. So he did figure it out in that game. But it was just the fact that it doesn't even matter how many points he scored, unfortunately, at that point, because like the whole thing from him was like, oh, I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna be like this, and then like he came out, and unfortunately that now viral clip is gonna be, what people are gonna take away from opening night, even though he did have all those points. So, do I think that Paul George, can improve and get better? Yes, but he's already doing well enough.
The Clippers obviously think so, considering they just threw $220 million at him.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, which I don't know, don't totally agree with, because ever since his injury, which, you can't expect him to ever be the same player, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he was really worth all that, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. How far do you guys think the Clippers are actually going to be able to go this year? I mean, obviously they have the Lakers in the West, so that's going to be difficult. But after playoff exit that a lot of people thought was somewhat early. I mean, some people didn't because of the way that they were playing, but like you have Kawhi Leonard, you have Paul George, and I mean to kind of go out the way you did against the Nuggets was kind of just like lackluster. Do you think that they can, do you think they can get further this year, or do you think that they're just still stuck in this kind of like weird spot?
Well, I mean, look at there's one name that like I attribute to them. They're not going to make it even close to as far. Their 6/7th man, Montrezl Harrell. They lost him to the Lakers, and
Yeah.
he was really the only fiery competitor that left it all out there on the team in my eyes. So I think that's just too big of a loss. And I mean, now you got to figure out who matches up with Jokic, who matches up with LeBron and AD. I don't see them even making it as far as they did last year.
Really?
No.
You don't think
You know what? I couldn't have said it better myself.
Wow. You don't think that?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't think they're going very far this year.
You don't think Kawhi can be that fiery guy?
No, the Denver Nuggets for the first time in a long time were a playoffs team. Like they usually did in the past, have done very well during the regular season. Kind of just fizzled out during the playoffs, but they've showed like this past year they're here to stay.
Just the fact that they're currently paying Paul George and they just got rid of Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah,
that's enough to sell it for me.
Yeah, it's overall in my eyes a very soft team. I mean, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George arguably are the most load managed guys in the NBA, which is a term that just means taking the game off.
Yeah, that is one of the things about those two that I really can't stand, because it's like, I mean, obviously you're not having fans in the stands right now with COVID and everything like that, but even when you do, it's like you show up to the game and basically flip a coin of which superstar isn't going to be playing today.
Exactly, and you look at LeBron James. I mean, countless seasons he's played 75 to 82 games that season. He's only had one bad injury that he missed time, and afterwards a lot of people were saying the fact that he came back from that groin injury in 6 months was like a medical miracle. Most guys, it takes a year or two to come back from something like that. So
yeah, I mean the fact that LeBron was able to bounce back like that, and people still kind of get on him for now that the wave of load management has kind of become a thing. But I mean, I think that, I don't know, I feel like I'm not a fan of load management whatsoever. I think that I feel like it just robs the fans of that experience that we're all looking for. And I don't know, I just wish there was a way to kind of avoid it without shortening the schedule, because that's really the alternative that I've heard, where it's just like, oh, well, we won't have to load manage if you take all the games away, and it's just like, well, that's not what we want to do either.
Agreed. Yeah, never been a fan.
I mean, I've never really been a basketball player, but I can't really see how if you love basketball and you play it your entire life and you want to play it as a profession, taking time off just seems like you're treating it like any other job, like it's employment, And so many people
it's your life,
dying to be in the shoes of those players. It's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many guys are in the G League that would gladly play 82 games straight on a broken ankle,
right.
And so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, again, they're superstars. We're not. We don't know what it's like to have to deal with that. So, it's just one of those unfortunate things about growing up with basketball. Now that's just the reality of the situation. It just sucks. It really just sucks that's like what we have to grow up with. But now kind of transitioning over to the Boston Celtics. Their home openers tonight. They're playing the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they probably just tipped off like 7 minutes ago or something like that. The Celtics for at least the past couple of years now. I mean, they've almost kind of started to like look like they really just haven't been able to get as far as they did during that Eastern Conference Finals run. I mean, they ended up getting bounced by the Heat in the conference finals in the bubble. They ended up going out in the second round against the Bucks. the year prior. I mean, how do you guys just in general feel about this? Just feel about this team like going into the season. I mean, they added Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague. They got Tatum locked down for another 5 years. Gordon Hayward ended up going to Charlotte, so we don't have that. We don't have that element anymore. Like, how do you guys feel just about this team in general?
I'm very mad that we did not get Andre Drummond.
Yeah,
he was supposed to be the guy, and
yeah,
Tristan Thompson is kind of he will be solid. He'll give us 10 points and 10 boards night in and night out. But
he'll do the job. But it's like like literally like when I was writing the show map originally and like kind of just like writing through everything like that, I just wrote in, oh, they signed Andre Drummond because like that's who it was supposed to be. Like I didn't even think twice about it. And I'm just like, dang, like the fact that like we couldn't even get Drummond, like, I mean, Tristan Thompson obviously is a solid big. I mean, I was looking at it. He's from what I was seeing about his height, I saw that he's under like 6'10", which I mean for to be the center on the Celtics, which have longed for that big guy who can really dominate. I mean, we had Daniel Tice, who I believe was around the same height.
So Al Horford was about 6'9", so
yeah. So I mean, if he can be that aggressor and really help us out underneath, that's gonna be huge for us. But I mean, I don't know. I just wish you could have gotten someone like just a little taller. Just being greedy here, but I mean, I feel like if you just got like that extra inch or two, like that's gonna be the difference.
Yeah, and the reason I keep going back to Andre Drummond is because he was in a bad situation. We should have snagged him out of Detroit. Cleveland ended up getting him, and he's still in a bad situation in Cleveland. I know he wants to win, so that he could have been our golden goose, but we just missed a big opportunity.
We fumbled the bag hard on that.
For sure.
I'm so pissed that we did that.
Yeah.
I mean, also kind of staying in on the theme of the Celtics. Kyrie Irving visited the visited TD Garden for a preseason game the other day, and he was seen burning sage around the garden. Did you guys see that clip of him just like walking around the court trying? And isn't that just like ward off demons or something? Like that's what that's for or something?
Yeah, they interviewed Kevin Durant, or they interviewed someone about it. I don't remember who, but they said like he does that all the time. He probably does that before he plays a game of 2K. So they tried to brush it off. Some people are taking it personally. I don't know how to deal with that.
I mean, if he was trying to ward off any demons that he probably had in that place, I mean, it works because the Nets absolutely just dominated the Celtics in that preseason game. The Celtics gonna have another shot are gonna have a shot at revenge on their Christmas Day game. That's when they're next playing again. So
I think in Kyrie's eyes, like that whole move is just to like remove negative energy from his area, and we know Kyrie has been surrounded by a lot of negative energy lately.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like what, like I feel like that's kind of just like Kyrie's like aura too. Like he's a very like spiritual guy. I mean, like a lot of people have said like when Kyrie retires, we're not going to ever see him again.
Yeah, no, he's very anti-media.
Like there's that whole thing of like when he retires, or like he's just gonna like go off and live in a cabin somewhere, and we're not gonna ever see him again. Like that's gonna be the end of Kyrie Irving in the public eye.
Agreed.
Like I can see it already.
Yeah, it's gonna be like we're just gonna be looking 20 years down the line, just be like, man, whatever happened to Kyrie Irving? And it's gonna be like, oh, he's still alive. Like that's just gonna be the story of Kyrie. I feel like. I don't know. That's just me though. But finally in the NBA, we're going to be talking about. We had to talk about this. All the Ball brothers officially had made it to the NBA at one point. That was going to be the story leading into the show, but probably like little over a week before we did this, LiAngelo Ball was officially cut by the Detroit Pistons. When his brother LaMelo got drafted 3rd overall to the Hornets, you had Lonzo, who's now on the Pelicans, and it was going to be like, oh my God, LiAngelo's on that. And I remember LeVar Ball was out all on Twitter saying like, I told you so. I told you all my sons were going to be in the NBA. And now that he's cut, LeVar Ball, basically. I don't know if he took to Twitter or however he did this in an interview. He basically said that the Pistons were raggedy as hell and were trashing on the Pistons for cutting his son. I mean, what were you guys' thoughts on LeVar at least just getting all his kids in the NBA just in general?
Listen, man, I've been saying this from the beginning. I'm leaning in for this one. LeVar Ball is a marketing genius. This man, since 2015, 16, he has been in our ears constantly. If it wasn't for LeVar Ball, I wouldn't know about Chino Hills. I wouldn't know about Lonzo Ball. I wouldn't know that LiAngelo stole expensive sunglasses in China. I wouldn't know that about their entire lives.
Half court.
Exactly. We wouldn't know anything about them. And I don't think that his sons would have been as highly regarded in the draft based off pure talent. Without LeVar Ball's hype, Lonzo Ball isn't going second to the Lakers. Jason Tatum is going second to the Lakers.
And thank God. I mean, honestly, for that sake, thank God LeVar Ball was able to hype the crap out of his son.
Agreed.
And just keep Tatum out of their clutches. I mean, if the Celtics lost Tatum, actually, I think if the Lakers had ended up having him, I feel like the Celtics might have probably might have just kept that number 1 overall pick instead of letting it go to Philly. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just go for Tatum at 3.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, they did end up getting a plethora of draft picks after that. So, that could have been just an entire rewriting of NBA history. Maybe Jason Tatum goes to the Lakers and maybe Anthony Davis stays in New Orleans. Like, who knows what happens? Like is Tatum part of the Davis deal? Like, how does that go down? Like, that's an entire whole NBA conspiracy of what would have happened if that happened. Like that would have been just absolutely insane. I mean, I feel like to call the Pistons raggedy, I mean, they've had, they're a championship franchise, and I mean, kind of like looking at LeVar, I'm just like, your other 2 sons are on the Pelicans and the Hornets, 2 of the least experienced franchises in the NBA at this point. And I'm just like, I don't know if trash on the Pistons, who have had that experience in the playoffs, is necessarily the smartest thing to say.
Yeah, no, especially if you're trying to get them to employ your son. I mean,
yeah,
calling them raggedy, I don't know, just not a good move by him. But
yeah,
other than that, I think he's done pretty much everything right.
Yeah. I got to weigh in on this, if you don't mind, Brian. Tyler and I have been arguing about this for years on end. We've had many arguments.
We've been arguing about this since freshman year of high school.
So my take on this is, I will give you credit. LeVar Ball, he's gotten his kids where they are. He's been that foundation for them. The brand, the publicity, it's worked. It's worked. That's the end result. That's how it's been going. But you kind of have to question his methods, and is all publicity good publicity? There's videos circulating the internet of him. But when he was coaching LaMelo Ball at for his high school team, there was a bad call made by a ref, and he told the kids for his team halfway through the game, get on the bus, we're going home. Telling everyone he'd beat Michael Jordan in a 1v1. No. It's just some things
I that's just where I don't agree with you, man. All publicity is good publicity. You get your name out there, it's just good stuff. The results, you can see the results. He had 3 kids at one point in the NBA.
No, you're not wrong. I very much agree with the results of it. But also what you were saying about how his interactions, talking about the Pistons and trash talking them, and even when Lonzo was going into the league and he was you better not, my son's only playing on 1 or 2 teams. He was already his kid still had to prove himself, and he was already making a short list. He was the next LeBron,
And the big thing too was almost trying to decipher, is LeVar really in it for his kids, or is he more in it for himself? When he had that whole thing of oh, I could beat Jordan in a 1v1. It's dude, obviously you can't.
Carter, what do you think on LeVar Ball?
I kind of agree with you, but only a little bit. I agree that he got Lonzo to where he is, 100%. Lonzo was all LeVar Ball's responsibility. When you heard about Lonzo, you heard about LeVar first. LaMelo, I think LaMelo did it more personally. I think he did it more on his own. He played overseas. Yeah, he played overseas. He played as a pro. He didn't go to college. He didn't follow that normal path to the NBA that everybody does. And honestly, I haven't heard the name LeVar Ball in a while.
Well, this isn't
publicly like something
Yeah.
that would catch my eye. You know,
And
what I mean?
I'm not discounting the work ethic and the hard work of Lonzo, LiAngelo, and LaMelo. They work their tails off day in and day out. I can't imagine how many shots LaMelo Ball has taken in his life to be that confident to pull up from half court. That's not me discounting their hard work whatsoever. I'm just saying, you know, LeVar Ball was the push that got the ball rolling. He put those weight training programs in place. He got basketball in their minds from an early age. So, granted, he's true to himself. He legitimately believes he can beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. And you know what? I'm not going to judge him for thinking that. I can disagree with him big time.
You can think he's insane.
Exactly. So, I
So
don't
you
know.
believe that he
Yeah,
got his kids kind of to where they are, but
I think
Lonzo didn't take it as far as
Yeah, no,
LaMelo
Carter,
did.
I agree with your take on the LaMelo thing because, like,
Yeah.
during Lonzo and at the beginning of LiAngelo, before things started to fall apart, like once things fell apart in China, like LeVar and LeAngelo's name kind of went out the window, but especially with LaMelo, I think you're 100% right. Where like people were talking, oh, LaMelo Ball, and like LeVar Ball, people were almost like talking about LeVar Ball just being like, oh, what's he gonna say like when this starts to gain traction. And he really didn't say a lot of stuff until basically draft night. I mean, he obviously was going to talk up his son, which he did, but it was nowhere close to what he did with Lonzo. I mean,
Mhm.
Lonzo, it was Lonzo and LeVar every single day on interviews, like trying to build up hype for this guy. I remember like hearing about Lonzo Ball at first and being like, oh, he's going to be like Stephen Curry, or he's going to be like this type of next guy. And then I remember just hearing, and then then LeVar Ball just completely took over and just became just the domineering like force that he was just in Lonzo's life. I mean,
Exactly.
but when it came to LaMelo, I mean, I really didn't. I'm actually being honest with you. I don't really remember hearing LeVar talk about it as much. It was more just about Lonzo than anything. In his situation in New Orleans, that I remember him.
Yeah, which kind of worked in his favor because Lonzo came first. He had to
Yeah.
do more with Lonzo to get him up there. He made his name bigger while doing
Yeah,
that, so
it was
that
more-
LaMelo could just take the legacy.
Yeah, it was more just building up it was more just kind of building up the whole brand behind it. I mean, speaking of that, I mean, like I was Googling just LeVar just in general to see if like there were any big stories about it. And when you do look LeVar up on Google, it like, I don't know if how much input he had to have in this, but when you do look it up, it does just like the first thing under it isn't like father of like Lonzo Ball. Like the first thing under it is CEO of Big Baller Brand. And I'm just like how much pull did he have to be like, yes, that is what needs to come up. Not that I'm their dad, that I'm the CEO of this company.
I mean, that says a lot about his personality by itself.
Yeah. I mean, the dude wanted to build up the next Nike, and I feel like Big Baller Brand. I mean, I feel like Big Baller Brand eventually did like team up with some other shoe brand. I forget which one it was though.
I think
remember
at the end, you go.
They released those first prototypes of the Zoes in like
Yeah.
2017, and they were like bricks. People said they were like
Those
the
were
worst quality
nightmares.
shoes. Yeah,
Dude, I
Yeah,
remember
they were looking rough.
Yeah, I remember Lonzo took the court in them, and then didn't he like injure himself and then he said
Yeah.
screw it. I think he said screw it and just like showed up in Kobe's like the next day.
Yeah, he actually ripped open the shoe and messed up his ankle because of it.
Yeah. So like I remember like the next day he just showed up in purple Kobe's and was like screw it.
sorry, Dad.
Yeah, it was like, listen, I can't wear these.
You don't need to pay my
out on the
bills
court.
anymore.
Yeah.
But final take, I think at the end of the day, LeVar Ball has always wanted what's best for his kids, and he will. I think he's the type of guy that will do anything that it takes. If it means him going out on national television and saying something blatantly stupid like I could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one, he'll do it 10 out of 10 times.
He will say anything. So, I'll give you that, Tyler, 100%. But Jake, we wanted to thank you so much for having you on the show. We're about to transition over to our NFL segment, but before we do, we wanted to thank you so much for coming on, dude. It's always having fun. It's always fun being able to talk NBA with you. I mean, maybe it was kind of at your expense for the whole Harden thing, but I mean,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
See you, Jake.
See ya.
Peace.
So before we end up transitioning over to our next segment, I wanted to welcome in our second, I believe, actually, Carter, I think you have another guest that'll be coming in soon, right? Or is that not the case?
At some point, yep.
At some point, all right. But for NFL, we're going to end up welcoming in another one of our friends. Please welcome Adam Wright. Let's see if he gets in. Waiting.
So in the meantime, how's everybody feeling this YouTube live format? I'm digging it
love
so
it.
far.
I'm enjoying it. I think it's finally working. Adam, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How y'all doing?
I'm doing well, dude. How you feeling?
Pretty good. I'm chilling.
Yeah, nice. We're about to actually hop into some NFL. So, I was actually kind of thinking about that, and before we end up hopping into football, we were talking with Tyler early on the show that he started a golf podcast. You yourself started an NFL podcast. You want to kind of like tell any viewers about that?
Yeah. So our podcast with a couple of my buddies from school, where it's called the Fumblerooski Podcast. So we just discuss all things NFL, and we kind of debate. We go back and forth. We disagree on just about everything. So if you want to see two friends bashing each other on each other's takes, Fumblerooski Podcast is the place for you.
Yeah, Adam, I was telling you one of my favorite parts of the podcast is when I see you and your co-host Brian Mucker just absolutely go at each other for football takes. I think that's 100% one of the funniest parts of the podcast, just seeing you guys get so visibly upset. And I remember telling you, I remember like asking him like, are you two okay? Because like I was worried that I was like witnessing the end of a friendship, like when I saw you guys like battling it out.
We go at each other 100 it's all just full head of steam right into each other. We just go straight back to being friends all the time.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't do that, are you really friends?
Exactly, especially about sports. Like if you're not, especially if you're a fan of like different teams. He's a Jets fan. I'm a Patriots fan. So he comes at me about Tom Brady all the time. So let's just say I'm ready.
Dude, and then your third host, Justin, is just in the corner, just like witnessing it all go down. And it's just like, oh my God.
Well, trust me, it happens when he gets involved when he brings up the Ravens. That's usually how it works. It'll be me and him going back and forth. And then Brian brings up the Ravens, and then it's just a WWE SmackDown. It's just the three of us just going back. It's wild.
Yeah, no, that is one of my favorite parts of the podcast is when you just guys get so visibly upset at each other and basically are just like screaming at each other. For anyone who wants to follow you guys on Instagram, it's can you just say like your Instagram and stuff like that? Just that way.
So it's Fumblerooski_podcast on Instagram, and then just look up Fumblerooski Podcast on YouTube, and then you'll find us.
Yeah, I mean,
it's worth a listen. So.
Yeah, I think you guys have another episode coming out like tonight or something like that.
Yeah, it's being posted in a few minutes. My buddy's just going through some editing, and then it'll be out there.
Awesome. So once you guys are done with this, I mean, Adam's got a new podcast out, so hop on that trend. But Adam, it's awesome. Anyways, Adam, it's awesome to have you in here. I mean, you were talking about how you're a pretty passionate Patriots fan, like myself, like Carter over here. Tyler, we're still working on. But
never. Actually, now that you say that, hang on.
True.
I have to hang on. Just give me 1 second. All right, let's get into NFL football.
All right. Actually, before we do that, Adam, I was talking with them early on the show about the way fantasy ended up playing. I am so pissed with the way that happened. I am so pissed at the way that game ended. I can't believe. Oh, our
you won by a quarter of a point.
No, you did.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I've never won by that's 0.18 to be exact.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, coming into this season, we've played fantasy football with each other for about like 5 years now.
Yeah, this is our 5th season.
Yeah, and you've had your up and down seasons, like whatever. But like, dude, you've been like a top tier team sometimes. Yet until this year, you had never won a playoff game.
Dude, last season I had Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, the top 2 running backs in the league, I managed to steal. And I had Kenny Golladay and Stephon Diggs for my receivers. I had Zach Ertz as my tight end. I had Tannehill as my quarterback. I made the 2nd seed, and I got bounced in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of luck that you just had, dude, was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I did know that. I mean, in playoffs this year, you came in as the 6th seed, so you actually weren't having like the greatest season at the start. You came in as the 6th. You bounced out my brother in that round, and then you bounced me. And now you're facing off against Justin Buffoni in the championship game. And
Super Bowl, baby.
I can't lie. I have texted Justin, and I've asked him, how much do you want for Alvin Kamara? Because I will give him to you in a heartbeat. So,
oh God.
So this could be a matchup. This could be a rematch of what happened with me and my brother, where we just people were just giving everyone on the other team, top players to see what would happen. Maybe. But Adam, rest assured, Justin already told me that he wants to win this thing fairly. So you have nothing to worry about on your end.
Yeah, I don't even think with an upgraded team I'm gonna win. He kind of has it in the bag, especially since I gave him Aaron Rodgers last round.
Yeah, for Stephon Diggs.
But I got Diggs. Only problem is he's facing New England. He has Gilmore.
Gilmore's out, dude. Yeah, Gilmore hurt.
Gilmore's out?
Yeah, Gilmore's out. Yeah, Gilmore got
starting
injured against
Stephon Gilmore. Let's go, or Stephon Diggs. Let's go.
Yeah, well, Gilmore got injured in Miami, so now it's J.C. Jackson only.
I missed that. But still, Jackson is playing at a Pro Bowl level too.
Yeah, dude.
I'm surprised he didn't make it as a Pro Bowler.
He got snubbed this year. I mean, you guys saw that, right? He has 8 picks and he didn't make it to the Pro Bowl, but Gilmore did. And Gilmore's been having kind of a really lackluster season.
Really?
Yeah, J.C. Jackson got snubbed. I mean, another guy who got snubbed too was Robert Tonyan on the Packers. I mean, the dude has like 10 touchdowns. But Evan Ingram of the Giants made it over him when he only has 1 touchdown. And he has 10 drops, and Tonyan doesn't have a single one.
I think the Pro Bowl out of all all-star games in all professional sports is the worst because A, it's so name-based, and B, you watch the game and it's so just there's no blocking, there's no sacks, there's really no tackling. It's not football. It's just it's like a celebrity matchup kind of.
Yeah, there's no real way to do it because it's just when you throw all those guys out on the field, in a baseball game, for an all-star game, you can have those guys throwing as hard as they can. You can have that kind of competitiveness in the NBA all-star game. You can have those guys face off against each other. And I think the NHL all-star game, it's almost like a tournament thing where you have all the divisions play against each other and I'm just that's awesome.
Yeah. And we saw in the NBA, cool. Once it started getting more competitive, it got way more interesting. It was a lot of fun to watch this year.
And football just hasn't been able to figure out. I mean, the skills competition has been interesting, but I mean, there really is no effective way to, bring that competitiveness to the game without telling these guys oh yeah, one wrong hit and your career could be over. And that's unfortunately the drawback to trying to get all these guys out for basically an exhibition game. They're just I'm making way too much money to try hard right now.
Agreed.
Yeah. But I think the appropriate place to start in NFL news, Adam, as Patriots fans, we were mentioning it earlier, unfortunately, our season has come to an end after, an insane title run. I mean, 20 plus years of winning seasons. It might have been 19 or something like that. This would have been the 20th season, but it's only the third time been the third time in this century that the Patriots have missed the playoffs. I mean, we missed it in 2008 when Brady went down with the ACL injury, and we missed it in Brady's rookie season when we went 5-11. I mean, what were your thoughts on this year in total?
So another huge thing is that this is their first time since in 2 decades, in 20 years, that they're going to finish with a record that isn't a winning record.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. In the years where they were missing the playoffs during the Brady Belichick era, they were at least competitive.
Yeah.
And they won games. This year they didn't, and they were bad.
Yeah.
So this is a team where you look at it and it kind of shows how historic that this past run, the past 2 decades, really has been. and how spoiled we've really become, that they're just going to miss the playoffs and they're going to be sub 500. We're learning what the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets how they felt.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
we show more appreciation there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I feel like the thing that's really kind of killer to us, especially, is like, even in those years where they missed the playoffs, it really came down to like that final week of the season. I think in 2002 was like the first time they did it, and that was with Brady actually as the quarterback. I think they went 9-7, but it came down to like, I think they needed to win that last game and then have a couple things happen. Like that wasn't the case. They lost that game, so they lost out on playoff hopes. In 2008, when they had Matt Castle back there, they needed to. I think they needed to win and then like have some things go their way. I think they won in week 17, but they just didn't. But the other teams, like it just didn't work out for them with other teams playing that out, so they missed it in that scenario. But this is like really the first time where it's like it's over, and it's not like week 17 we're in week 17 when the dust settles, you can be like, oh, we didn't make it, but we had a good run. It's like, no, it's over now, and it's just like ugh, it's just awful. Like the fact that
and I've noticed that, and I heard this on WEI, and I realized that's actually a really good point, is that in the most of the disappointing seasons in the past 20 years, it's been like, yeah, it was disappointing, but they'll be back next year. But do we have that this year? Not really. Yeah. They might not be back for a couple of years with the way this roster is shaking out.
Yeah.
So this is something where it could be a few years of a project to actually get back to championship contention. And it may not be sustainable like this. In fact, it won't be sustainable like this ever again. Because, 20 years of dominance, that's not something that happens every day, especially in the NFL.
Yeah, it's completely unprecedented. I mean, there's a lot of questions with the Patriots going forward. I mean, their defense actually this year was surprisingly okay. I mean, I guess in terms of points per game, we ranked like 7th overall, so we were actually like a decent defense in that area. Our secondary seems pretty strong. I mean, I know we had Gilmore this year. We had J.C. Jackson. The addition of Adrian Phillips was really huge. The McCourty twins ended up being good. And I know next year we'll get Patrick Chung back off the COVID list. So that's a big ad that, we really didn't need to. We're not even going to need to go into free agency for that kind of an ad. That'll just be there when we come back next year, which is awesome. But there are a ton of questions. I mean, do you guys think that, we're facing the Bills on Monday Night Football next week? We have nothing to play for at this point except basically just a higher draft pick. Do you think Stidham should be the starter, no question, or do you think that you should still roll Cam out there?
I don't know.
I should go with more of a platoon.
Yeah, I feel like Cam, regardless of like his level of play this year, I feel like he's just very driven and dedicated to that organization. I think he really understands that they gave him that shot, and he's very grateful. Now, granted, I thought he was going to shake the rust off at some point. It doesn't look like that. Maybe it was the injury that set him back, but
maybe it was the COVID as well. Because I mean, in the Seattle game, he was looking solid. I mean, part of me is just frustrated that like in that Seattle game that he threw for about 400 yards in that game. He was really letting it all air out. And part of me is just like why didn't they ever go back to that at some point in the season? Like, I mean, like I remember in week 1 versus Miami when they were doing that, not when they were like very run heavy, like they were this entire season. And I was like, okay, but I feel like eventually they're going to get Cam to pass a little more. And I thought that was going to be the case after seeing the Seattle game where, Cam really started to air it out and they had more designed runs for him. And it was more kind of it almost seemed a bit more of a Belichick offense with a mobile quarterback in it per se. But then like week 3 against the Raiders, it completely reverted back to that Miami week 1. And that's just how it stayed the rest of the season. And part of me is just like, what kind of happened with Belichick and the rest of those guys and McDaniels even that kind of just made them say like even after the success he had, like, I'm wondering like why they had to go back.
Yeah, it's tough. Because I was watching that Seattle game. I actually watched the first Pats game of the season because I didn't have access to the Vikes game, and I was looking. I was like, there's flashes of potential here. Like this could really work, and we just never really saw like them being able to string together like a lot of good plays. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. I don't think Stidham is going to be the starter. Maybe he'll get some reps to get him more adjusted to be a solid backup and a solid. Hey, yeah, it's time. You got to step up. Cam's out, but I don't know.
Yeah. In my opinion, I feel like Stidham. I feel like it's. I mean, personally, I feel like if you're the Patriots, there's no reason that Stidham shouldn't be the starter on Monday Night Football. I mean, I understand that Cam seems really loyal to the Pats right now. He seems like he's really trying to, prove to Belichick that he wants to be here, that he wants to be that guy. And I mean, I'll 100% respect a guy who loves the grind of the Patriots. It's a very tough thing for people to appreciate, and the fact that a guy like Cam Newton is able to come in and say, I respect what's going on here, and I want to be a part of the future. I mean, that's admirable, but I mean, at this point in the season, I feel like you at least kind of just got to see what you have in the youth. At least I feel like you got to at least just give it a test. And if it blows up and it fails, then it blows up and it fails, and you just move on from there.
For sure.
I mean, there's also some huge questions at quarterback. I mean, do you think the Patriots try to draft a guy this year and do something, or do you think they have to, or do you think maybe go after someone in free agency?
They should try and find something in free agency for sort of the short term in these sort of reloading years, so that the players that they draft or bring in who are actual pieces they want for the future. Say, like, if they draft like some pass catchers, they're going to need somebody to throw to throw the ball to, so that they can develop properly for that when they actually find their guy. But I think this isn't the type of situation you draft a quarterback into. You might be setting him up for failure at this point.
What about this? You think they make a run at Dak next year if he's healthy and back at it?
I mean, if the price is right, I'd love to see it. And I think that I feel like if you get Dak in the right system and you get him back healthy, I feel like he'll be able to, come back and maybe not be as mobile as he was, but I mean, he didn't necessarily need to rely as much on his legs as Cam Newton did, even in his prime when Cam Newton was, like really on top of the world. He didn't need to rely on his legs as much. So I feel like that could be successful. I've also been hearing there's also been some rumors rumbling. I mean, I saw Tommy Curran was on Pat McAfee's show, and he was talking about that, and they basically said, like, is there a possibility that there could be a Jimmy G reunion in New England? And he said absolutely, that could work. Do you guys think that? Do you guys think that's likely, or do you think that the Patriots should try to move outside of the whole Jimmy G thing, especially and try to maybe start a new chapter?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like Jimmy G doesn't really have that strong of a passion for the game anymore. I mean, he's really been inconsistent in San Fran. Now, granted, injuries, nothing you can do. It happens. But I don't know. He seems more interested in things off the field than he does on. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Cornstar Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. I mean, Carter, what are your thoughts on the whole Jimmy G situation? Would you want to see him back in New England?
I know I just disappeared there for a sec. I needed to inhale like half a sandwich quick.
Nice.
Jimmy G in New England.
Yeah.
Am I a fan of it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to see it. No.
Yeah.
I think he's just past what he was during his time in New England.
Yeah.
I don't think what?
You're good. Keep going.
I don't think what he's doing in San Francisco, especially after like how this season is so drastically different from last season, is enough to sway me to want him back.
Yeah, true. I mean, is there any quarterback that you'd love the Patriots to pursue in this offseason? Anyone in particular? Or?
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of just fine rolling with Cam until we can draft a guy. I mean, Cam's not bad. It's clear that he still has a lot to learn with the offense.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I feel like if the Patriots do decide to keep Cam, which frankly I don't think is going to be likely, I really don't see that happening, but maybe I'm wrong. I feel like if they keep him, I don't know if it's his shoulder that kept him from passing as much as he did, but he's got to get right.
I'd say, like, if I were Belichick, I'd roll with Cam until he gets to a point in his career where there's like a young star in the draft that you want to take him and have him play backup to Cam for a little bit.
Wow. Oh, so you're kind of in it with Cam for a little bit of a long haul.
Not really a long haul, but I'm talking like I could see Cam in New England for maybe 5-6 years.
Really?
Yep. Well, it's probably not going to happen, but
Yeah.
that's what I want.
I mean, if we're seeing Cam in New England, I feel like the numbers have to go up from 5 touchdown passes through however many games, through however many weeks this is at this point. I
They
mean,
will.
I think he's only thrown like 1 or 2 touchdowns to a wide receiver. I mean, I feel like if they're going to do it, McDaniels or whoever is the offensive coordinator needs to kind of get in Cam's head and basically say like, hey, we're actually going to start passing the ball a little more.
No, you're right. That's the only way that offense is going to be as productive, if not more productive, as it used to be.
Yeah.
Now, can I just say something to Pats fans everywhere real quick?
Go for it.
Welcome to the real world. How does it feel to suck for a season?
Hey, Tyler, how does it feel to suck for eternity?
Yeah, misery loves company. So welcome to the bottom of the barrel.
I mean,
Yep.
Minnesota is just a sad state in general. I mean,
Minnesota is the epitome of mediocrity. They get our hopes up
Minnesota-
every year, and they just crush us every year. But there's one
Siberia.
thing they can always guarantee: a big win over the Saints.
Yeah. I mean,
Not on Monday night though.
You can also guarantee that an average quarterback is going
Not
to
on
be
Monday.
paid like a king. That's another
Yeah.
thing.
Hey, I didn't sign him to that contract. All right, don't come at me.
I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying you're a fan.
Hey,
But, you know,
I'm starting to get on the Kirk Cousins train. He's been kind
Really?
of balling lately, and you look at some of the stats. He's one of, I think it's like him, Brady, Wilson, and I forget who else. But I think those group of guys are in the past 6 seasons are the only guys in the past 6 seasons to throw. I think it was over 25 touchdowns and like under 10 picks. So
Tyler, man, whenever you say whenever you get your hopes up for Cam Newton, he's always just going to let you down. I mean, not for Cam Newton, for Cam Newton, at least this year. But whenever you get your hopes up for Kirk Cousins, man, he's always going to end up letting you down.
I'm expecting mediocrity. I'm expecting 8-8 this season. You know,
You like that?
It almost sounds like you
No.
want it.
I don't want
Sounds
it,
like you
but
want the mediocrity.
I can't fight it. What can I do? I can't go out there and rush for 1,000 yards.
Just call him up. Say, guys, Kirk Cousins not working for you.
He's not the guy.
Draft a guy.
We'll see what they do, but for now,
Yeah.
we'll just have to settle for 8-8.
Yeah, I mean, with everything that's happened, at least in New England wise, we were talking about that earlier. There are kind of some reports of is there going to be kind of maybe a coaching staff shakeup? And one of the things that I feel like could be really interesting is that there kind of has been a little bit of a feud building between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians down in Tampa. It's kind of seemed to simmer down a little bit, and like they seemed to maybe that bye week they were able to kind of get some things together. But at least from what I've been seeing, like if maybe they have a bad playoff run or they get knocked out early by if the Giants get hot and Danny Dimes just absolutely just somehow it doesn't throw a pick and or if they just don't reach or if they just don't get to the heights that they think they can get to, could Brady possibly force the hand of maybe getting Josh McDaniels down to Tampa?
So the big question is like if all of these rumblings are actually true, because there's also Tom Brady and Bruce Arians who are both going out on a limb to say like, yeah, look, this isn't true. Like we're good. But if it is, or if it does wind up happening, this could be an easy thing where it's like, he's Tom Brady. Like he's like LeBron, like he can just get a coach fired if he wants him gone.
Yeah.
They
That's
just
literally
replaces him with like his guy. So
Yeah.
if it's true, like expect him to be out of there.
Yeah.
But if it's not, like this could easily be all just like fans like just creating this whole thing.
I hope that's the case, and I mean, because I know there are some Patriots fans who kind of think that McDaniels doesn't do the greatest job, but for the success that the Patriots have had, I'm not ready just yet to roll the dice on a new guy and say, let's like bring in some schmuck and like see and just throw it against the wall and see what happens. Barring what happened this season, I'm liking what the Patriots, have coaching wise. So I'm hoping that they can hold on to McDaniels and, maybe he takes the reins from Belichick. I don't know if that's necessarily what will happen, but I'm hoping they can at least hold on to McDaniels. I don't want that to necessarily be the story that happens.
Yeah, the Patriots fan side of me wants that. The Brady fan side of me says this could really help him. But I mean, between the two, I'm Patriots till the day I die. So I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that.
Yeah. And then, so, kind of stay in the AFC East, at least, talking McDaniels wise, the New York Jets had a complete, just completely just fumbled the bag on the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. I mean, literally it's the most Jets thing ever to win when you should have lost. I mean, you've been playing like you've played absolutely awful all year long. The thing that epitomized it most of the tanking all year long was literally when you had a cover 0 blitz on the last play of the game against the Raiders, and Derek Carr was able to throw it up to, I think it was Henry Ruggs, like it was nothing. And I don't know, like, what were you guys' thoughts on the fact that the Jets just completely screwed themselves out of the number 1 pick?
Well, I wouldn't even necessarily look at it that way. If you're a player and you're on the field, you're not thinking the same thoughts as the front office. I mean, if you're a player, you're thinking win the game because that's your job, right? So yeah. I wouldn't say that the Jets, quote unquote, were the reason why they're not going to get Trevor Lawrence in the draft, or potentially won't.
Yeah. I mean, and for a lot of those players, there's a ton of them that are probably like, we might not even be here anyways next year, regardless of regardless of what pick we have. So let's throw it all out there and try to get a good contract elsewhere.
And I think it also speaks to just looking at the amount of talent on this team, or the lack thereof on this team, and the fact that they've just won a game, really how hard it is to actually go 0-16. The fact that you would think we've seen a lot of garbage over the past decade alone, and very few of those teams have actually gone 0-16. And just looking at it, it really just speaks to how difficult it really is to be that bad. Even the suck for luck year, they still won a couple games towards the end of the season.
Yeah, even the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I remember when Lamar faced off against them in Week 1 last year, and people thought that they were literally going to be like one of the worst teams in history because they had Lamar, and then they had the Patriots, and they literally were getting outscored. Like, they literally let up like 100 points in 2 weeks or something like that, and it was just an absolute. It just looked like Brian Flores and that group were just gonna completely like fall apart. But he was able to turn that team around towards the end of the season, and at least kind of make it look respectable for the way that their team looked in the beginning of the year.
So, I'm a big fan of Brian Flores. He really shifted the culture from what Adam Gase did, destroying it down in Miami. And I mean, you look what he's done. He's not afraid to put, you saw him put Fitzpatrick in over Tua. A lot of people were against it, and he was like, "Hey, man, I gave us the best shot to win," and he did. So I'm loving Flores down in Miami. Big fan of him.
And the Dolphins are still in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, go Fins.
So, yeah. How do you guys think that Trevor Lawrence is going to just adjust to the NFL in general? Like, do you think that he is going to adjust as well as people are saying he is, or do you think there will be some hiccups that we're not really seeing?
I mean, if Adam Gase is still at the helm, there's going to be some issues. But if they get a new coach in there, I think it should be.
I mean, if the season ended today, he's going to the Jaguars.
Yeah, no, either way, I mean, bad culture. I don't know.
Yeah.
It also just depends what team, like the roster that surrounds him, whoever winds up drafting him. The New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they don't have the best rosters around him. If he gets drafted into a situation like that, they could be setting him up for failure.
Yeah.
Because, you look at teams that over the past who had nothing on their roster but still drafted a quarterback, or very little on their roster and still drafted a quarterback, and it turns out it didn't work out. Even Joe Burrow, who has showed promise, he had the crap kicked out of him until he had a torn ACL.
That was something that Adam, I'm actually glad you brought up Joe Burrow. that really aggravated me. I mean, Carter, we had talked about it on this show, and we had said that Burrow's O-line was so terrible he's not going to make it through the season. Like it was just a given, and like the fact that, I mean, I was watching the playback, and literally like the only good player blocking on that injury was one of the running backs. Like I'm like the fact that
we knew it was going to happen. It was bound to happen. That O-line is atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the O lineman blocked the defensive guy into Joe Burrow's knee. I'm just like, I mean, obviously, I don't know what it's like to be down there in the trenches. That's a war in and of itself. So I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to pretend and just go out there and say like that. Say being an O lineman is easy. I know it is far from easy. But I mean, the fact that they couldn't even just do. The fact that, Burrow couldn't really get a clean pocket pretty much his entire season just was indicative of how terrible that Cincy team was kind of really just was.
So that's just proves my point. If you teams that draft a quarterback with no good roster to inherit, you could easily ruin the quarterback. The right say recipe, if you will, to follow would be sort of what the Chiefs did with Mahomes, or say the Texans did with Deshaun Watson, where they still had a roster around him, and then the quarterback was one of the final pieces. And when you just draft the quarterback to start their rebuild, then you're just going to ruin the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it was that, I mean, when you brought that up, that really just struck a chord with me, because I remember seeing Burrow go down. And I hadn't seen the play at first, but then when I saw it happen, I was just so pissed off at the fact that, it was just Burrow's O-line just completely betraying him. And the fact that it happened the way it did, I mean, obviously no one on the Bengals wanted that to happen, but it was just bound to happen with the way that they were playing. That lack of experience just killed them.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence's situation now, like he's used to having a good roster around him. Clemson's a huge school. They're always in contention, and he's getting a lot of good talent in and out every year. So you go down to Jacksonville or up to the Jets, I don't know. Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to I mean, obviously the Jaguars aren't the greatest suitor in the world, but I mean, in my opinion, the Jets have just been an absolute dumpster fire of a franchise so far this year. I mean, and it's just led up to this awful run that they've been on. It seems that they're going to completely have to overhaul everything about them. They're going to have to get a new coach, new GM. It really looks like they're going to have to blow it all up again. I mean, if you're Trevor Lawrence and the Jets end up, managing to get back into the race for the number one pick, do you sit out? Like, do you just stay another year at Clemson?
I'd go back. If I was him,
yeah.
I'd go back. Have one more season of just stacking your accomplishments, get another Heisman, maybe get another national championship, and I'd hold off.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you're not going to lower your draft stock.
Yeah.
I mean,
now granted, the only argument could be made that injury is possible, but
true.
Yeah, I think that's a risk he has to take.
I mean, but Tua was able to come out with an injury.
Exactly.
And he's still with the second overall pick. I mean, I feel like Dabo Swinney would do the best he could to keep Trevor Lawrence, very safe in that pocket and do the best he could. And, I feel like it also could, really, really depend on, how does the college championship, how does the national championship game go? If Trevor Lawrence manages to get in there and win the whole thing, then I think he's probably going to say, all right, I'm going to go out on top and do it. But maybe if he gets bounced early or, ends up losing the big game, maybe he decides, all right, I want to re-up and I want to go back. I want to finish on top. I want to win it as a freshman and as a senior. And that's how I want my career at Clemson to be defined. Maybe that's how he
Tyler,
wants it.
To further support your point of there's the risk of him, if he doesn't go for the draft, he could get hurt. If he goes for the draft and gets hurt, can you almost make a case that if he goes to New York or Jacksonville, that there's a better chance of him getting hurt playing behind those rosters?
Yeah, I think honestly he has a better chance of getting hurt in Jacksonville than he does at Clemson, personally.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously neither are great options. If it's the Jaguars, I'd consider possibly coming out because I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's also a smaller market, so I feel like you might have a better shot of maybe getting out early. I mean, I don't know if that makes the most sense necessarily, but maybe that could work on his end. But at least I'd say like if it's the Jets, I feel like you got to go back. Yeah, if I saw the New York Jets label at number 1, and I'm the surefire pick, I feel like I have to, I really have to consider, coming out at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, that's the only circumstance I go back to Clemson though, is if the Jets have the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
I think you can work with the Jaguars.
Yeah. Also in NFL news, we've seen just the complete, I don't know if it's to say downfall, but really just kind of, just absolute crapshoot that's been going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it kind of all led to a head where, Carson Wentz had, been having another up and down season with the Eagles, more downs than ups, frankly. And it eventually did lead to him getting benched for Jalen Hurts. And so far, Hurts has just been unbelievable.
Hurts is a stud. He's looking great.
Dude, he is nasty. I mean, I'm so pissed at this point that the Patriots had a good shot at drafting him and we just let it slip, dude.
He looks like a Lamar Jackson, except better at throwing.
Yeah,
he looks.
Agreed.
In my opinion, he kind of reminds me of just like a more physical Kyler. Like that's what he reminds me of, kind of in a way. Like he's Kyler, but he's like got more meat on his bones and could probably absorb some hits better.
Now, did you guys see
Russell Wilson?
Yeah,
a little bit.
True. Yeah.
Did you guys see the play where he fumbled the ball, picked it up, and then threw it for a first down?
Dude, that was crazy.
Insane.
that was nuts, dude. I was like, bro.
So far, that's really the only knock against him is he's a little fumble prone. But I mean, after a couple big hits, he'll learn how to hold onto the ball a little harder. And
yeah, and he is a rookie, and I mean, obviously rookies are going to make mistakes, and I mean, after seeing some of the mistakes that Carson Wentz has had, I mean, I feel like the Eagles are probably just like, I mean, somehow I feel like they are still in playoff hopes. I think.
Yeah, they're still in contention.
Yeah, I think they're like 4-9-1 or something like that.
Yeah, sounds
like
about right.
They still have a shot at the playoffs.
mean, them, Washington, and New York all still have a shot.
Yeah, that's insane in my mind. That I mean, the fact that a team can get in with almost 10 losses into the playoffs is just remarkable. I mean, they're doing significantly worse. Actually, maybe not significantly worse, but the Patriots are already out of it, but they still have a shot to possibly contend for a Super Bowl.
Which, honestly, as good as they're playing, I think Washington at the moment is just playing way better. I don't think they're going to surpass Washington for that 4 seed. So
yeah,
but
I mean, what do you guys think about? I mean, speaking of Washington, do you guys think that? Have you guys heard about that whole like Dwayne Haskins situation? Yeah. I mean, we were talking about strip clubs earlier on this show with James Harden, and it really kind of just loops back to Dwayne Haskins, and I mean, I guess they ended up taking the C off his chest, and like they removed his captain's priorities and stuff like that, as that was one of his punishments.
Yeah,
that was so stupid for Kyler or Dwayne Haskins to do, especially for him. I mean, it's stupid for James Harden, but at least James Harden's built up like his name. Like if he screws up, at least he's James Harden, so he has that going for him, and he's a star. Dwayne Haskins is still trying to prove himself in the NFL.
Yeah,
and so it's like you do this, and you're really screwing yourself hard.
And I mean, and he literally ended up. He ended up losing the job to Alex Smith when he came back off injury. And I mean, that was an awesome story for Alex Smith to even be able to take another snap in the NFL again. But Alex Smith goes down, and Ron Rivera turns to Dwayne Haskins and says, "Hey, you ready to get your second shot?" And he came out against Seattle, and he had an up and down game. He ended up helping Logan Thomas have a really solid game for them. But he ended up. But I mean, just in general, like literally hours after his presser kind of like talking about like how he needs to improve and stuff, he's over there at the strip club without a mask on, and it's just like, dude, like, do you want to like have another shot?
Yeah, he's currently being outplayed by Alex Smith on basically 1.5 legs. Like,
I put it down to 1 leg at this point because of the spiking he took in his other one.
That was tough to watch.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad I'm glad it at least wasn't in his surgically repaired one, because
Mhm.
that would have been awful,
Yeah.
dude.
Alex Smith is a trooper, like
That is
without
that honestly
question.
that's honestly story of the year.
Yeah,
The fact that
comeback
he
player
was
of
able
the
to come
year,
back,
without a
100%.
doubt. And
I mean,
Washington football team comeback franchise of the year. I mean, you got Ron Rivera battling cancer. You got the team just battling all this controversy and building themselves up to now possibly making the 4 seed in the
Yeah.
NFC, and it's been
Yeah.
fun to watch.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. I mean, what do you guys think about? I mean, it's kind of funny that the 1 year Washington is officially no longer referred to, that they no longer officially have a nickname. Now they're actually contending, and I'm just like, I mean, obviously they're doing it in the worst division in football right now, the NFC East, but the fact that they're doing it at all is absolutely hilarious in my mind, especially since they don't have a nickname.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another big story that we didn't initially have in the show map, but I was reminded to talk about this by my brother. You guys have kind of heard like the whole Juju Smith like TikTok controversy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been like a whole big thing. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, he's been making TikToks on the logos of opposing teams, and you know, unfortunately for him, for the past 3 games where he's done it, his team has ended up losing. And for the past 3 weeks, he's played incredibly poorly. So I mean, it's just, he's looked really foolish with the way he's done it. And I guess he came out today and said that he's no longer going to do it, which I found to be really interesting, especially with the way that, you know, everything is kind of gone this season.
Yeah, and it came out that there was a players only meeting called by Big Ben earlier, and one of the knocks against the Steelers was they don't really have like a leadership. They have like older players and then they have younger players, and you know, the meeting came out, and I hope that Big Ben made it a point to be like, hey man, you can't do this, because if I was on the opposing team, and I saw that happening, it'd be tough for me to not run out there and level him on that logo mid TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were comparing it to, if you guys seen the clip of when Terrell Owens, you know, scored touchdowns in Dallas and ran out to the star and like held his arms up in the middle of the field. Have you guys ever seen that clip?
But T.O. is T.O. Juju Smith-Schuster is B wide receiver.
Exactly. And that was part of the thing I was trying to make about that comparison. And the other thing about the comparison is that T.O. was doing it after scoring touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was doing stuff. I mean, obviously, is it kind of a jackass move to do? Yes. But I mean, he was doing it after scoring touchdowns, and it was just like, hey, I'm better than you. And but Juju's going out there and is doing it before the games, and he's not even backing it up. And I feel like Big Ben was probably in the right to get in there and just be like, listen, if you're not going to actually like perform on the field, can you actually just stop making a fool of yourself? I mean, you know, I think that was the right call for Big Ben to reel him in. I feel like that ended up being the right call. I mean, you know, it's crazy. I've seen a thing that people were talking about when they were saying that Juju Smith-Schuster has gone from one of the most lovable players in football to one of the most hated in 1 year, thanks to a singular app. And I'm just like, bro, that can't be even more true. I mean, I was watching Pat McAfee show, and he was comparing him to Brad Marchand of the Bruins, saying like, listen, the hometown guys are gonna love him, but players on the other team are gonna absolutely just hate him.
Yeah, and I don't think he even holds that hometown love anymore. I think a lot of fans are pissed off. They're like, come on, man, you're inciting the other team to go out and just absolutely lay into you. I mean, and Josh Allen put it perfectly after the game. He said, I don't do none of that. I let my playing do the talking for me. And that's how it should be. Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the things Mike Tomlin is praised for in Pittsburgh is the fact that he's able to kind of give his players a long leash and, you know, let the personalities flow. It's kind of similar to what Pete Carroll does in Seattle, where like, you know, where it's like all those personalities coming together and you're able to win in spite of those things and really kind of just go out there and outplay all that stuff. He has had to reel it back in at times. You know, one of those incidents included when Antonio Brown was filming in the locker room after a big win, and Tomlin was talking game plan against the Patriots. That obviously
obviously AB was he had to be kind of like lectured on that whole issue and disciplined in that area. And I'm kind of wondering what he's going to do in this whole Juju Smith-Schuster in this whole Juju situation. But if maybe if him stopping doing the stuff and leads to the Steelers, winning out these last couple games, I feel like the team might be able to rally and maybe put together a solid playoff run, but they have not been playing well these past couple weeks.
No, not at all. And I think Cleveland has a really good chance to surpass them for best in that division. So
yeah. So I don't know if they'll be able to catch up. I mean, maybe they can. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like the Steelers just built up such an incredible, early run by going 11-0. So I think that's going to be tough for the Browns to catch up. I think they do have 10 wins. So I mean, it's possible, and I think they are facing each other soon. But I feel like, but maybe if the Steelers can, get it back in check, I think that I feel like they can. I feel like they just take it to the house at this point.
Shout out Vikings,
wise, but yeah.
Former Vikings offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski for absolutely turning around the Browns. You love to see it.
Tyler, don't hop on the Stefanski bandwagon now. You were talking.
I was loving Stefanski.
Tyler, I was talking with you, and you said when he went to Cleveland, you were basically saying like how it wasn't going to fix anything and like how it wasn't going to be the solution, and I'm just like, what?
He fixed it. He did his job.
Bro, you were not on that bandwagon early on.
I don't have to be on it early on. I can just say I'm proud of him. Good work.
Oh God. Okay.
You can see it in his play style, in the whole style the Browns offenses run. They've kind of switched to almost a run first offense this season, and it's taken a lot of pressure off Baker, and it's kind of given a lot of opportunities to players like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they're really helping them win games. So he does get a lot of credit for this season.
Yeah, both of which have been studs on my fantasy team, by the way. So go Browns.
Yeah, maybe not Kareem.
Not as much.
Yeah. So then, finally, in NFL news, I wanted to talk MVP picks. I mean, it's been a pretty wild race this year. I mean, Pat Mahomes was able to have a pretty good, third year in the league. I mean, he's doing, at least as a starter, I believe it's his fourth year total. But he's tearing it up again. But he had a kind of a faltering game against the Dolphins, which has kind of put him, a little below at this point. And Aaron Rodgers, completely has just, he kind of really defied all odds, I think, at this point. Packers drafted Jordan Love in this draft, and part of me feels like that was enough of a kick in the pants for Rodgers to really kind of just say, all right, you want to see me at my best? I'll show you what I can do. I mean, at this point, who do you guys think is probably the MVP in your mind? Do you think it's Rodgers or Mahomes, or do you think that, someone else might be kind of in the running at this point?
So barring anything significant happening between those two, Rodgers and Mahomes, it has to be Rodgers at this point. Rodgers, he has 40 touchdowns on the season. He could easily get somewhere near 50.
Yeah.
Mahomes, I thought it was Mahomes, to be honest, earlier on in this year. Then he threw 3 picks against Miami. And I thought, he's having a great year, but it's not nearly as good as Rodgers is. I mean, I hate to say it, being a Brady fan, and I'm going to take that with me to my grave, but he's having a career year. He's making other players better. He's helped Devontae Adams have a career season. Robert Tonyan, who I'd never even heard of before, having a great year. It's a great year for the Packers, and it all starts with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Rodgers has been absolutely just shredding out there. And I mean, the fact that, a lot of people were kind of doubting like where the Packers were going direction wise, after the drafting of Love, a lot of people thought, a lot of people had thought, we got a good shot. Like people thought that the Packers were going to have a good shot at, getting back to that NFC Championship game. But after the draft, they thought, are things going to start to fall apart? And it's been quite the opposite. They've come out stronger than ever. So I'd probably give it to Rodgers too at this point. This will be like his third MVP if he wins it. I believe so.
Not sure.
Yeah, I'll look that up. I'll look that up. Tyler, while I'm looking it up, let me know what you're kind of thinking on the whole
Yeah,
situation.
it pains me to say this, but I'm gonna have to agree with both you guys. It's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he has just been balling this season, and like you said, Adam, he's making everyone better around him. I mean, Robert Tanya, where did he come from? Who knows? But yeah, he's been balling this season. He's already at 40 touchdowns with I think 2 more weeks to play, and he's got the Titans next week, so I have a feeling they could potentially he could get 2 to 3 there, and then I think the last game of the season is probably some not great NFC North competitor, so
Yeah,
he has a chance maybe to get 45, maybe break 50. We'll see.
yeah,
I'll be the last to agree with you on that.
yeah. So it's all around consensus pick for Rodgers. You guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking it up. He does have literally just a quick Google of Aaron Rodgers MVPs, and it just says, yeah. So he only has 2 in his career so far. This would be his 3rd. I think that ties him with Brady. So and they're saying that this year he's performing better than either of those 2 seasons, and they're saying that's saying something, especially since his 2011 season is considered one of the greatest quarterback seasons ever. So a lot of people are saying that he's officially the front runner at this point.
And
He's
I
just
think
due for another one.
yeah.
I feel like
And I think with Mahomes, he has so many shots later on to win more and more. I think this is probably the peak of Aaron Rodgers we're gonna see here.
Yeah, I feel like this might be the top of the mountain for Aaron Rodgers, and I feel like at this point it starts to kind of go down a little.
Yeah,
or it stays the same.
Maybe.
He's only 37.
Yeah, true. I mean, this is around the age that Brady really started to turn it on again. I mean, Brady obviously throughout his career has been, absolutely ridiculous. But after his ACL tear, he had to kind of it did take him a couple of years to kind of regain his footing again. I mean, very soon after he was back on top as the MVP, I believe in 2010, and then he won it again at 40. So, I think that. So I do think that the Patriots, not the Patriots. I do think that just Rodgers has a good shot at getting the MVP this year. And frankly, I think if Mahomes stays at the level of competitiveness that he's at, I think he has a shot to possibly break Peyton Manning's record for MVPs, which is 5.
I think it's very doable for him.
Yeah, I mean the way he's already been playing, this well in his career so far, I think it's more than possible. I think that give it to Rodgers this year, give it to the guy who's been there before. He is having the better season, but give it to him. But I think Mahomes is going to come out and have plenty more, successful campaigns where he's going to be able to, rack up those awards.
See, I want to agree on Mahomes getting a lot of MVPs, and he certainly has the talent to. But I do want to see what it's like when he's not surrounded with more weapons than ISIS.
Yeah.
he has so many weapons that he just inherited. I just think put any quarterback in that system and they could play well. Well, not any. Yeah. Well, Alex Smith played well in it, but when you look at his play style, it reminds me a lot of Brett Favre's, and I wonder if once some of these weapons start to leave, once they have to pay them all and they won't be able to.
Yeah.
The interceptions could rack up. His play may not be quite as good. He's certainly great. Yeah. I'm just wondering if this all-time great stretch that he's had over the past few years is sustainable.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they gave Mahomes a lot of money. That's a big cap hit, and they're going to have to pay a lot of dudes. And, I mean, just the level of talent. How Clyde Edwards-Helaire fell to them at, 30 overall? I was kind of 32nd. Yeah, I was just amazed by that. And he's turned out to be a stud, so.
Yeah, that's been absolutely phenomenal the way he's been playing. But that kind of finishes up everything we have NFL wise. Adam, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show to talk NFL. It's awesome being able to. It's always great having another brain to pick with these situations.
For having me.
Yeah, for anyone who ended up joining a little later, Adam has a podcast of his own, and he's got an episode releasing. It possibly might be out now or at least later tonight. It is titled, the Fumblerooski Podcast, and you can find him on Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast and on YouTube with that same name. Adam, thanks again for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks,
See y'all
Adam.
later.
See ya.
Take care, Adam. Yeah, so that's actually probably going to end up leading us to transition over quickly into baseball. Baseball is actually a pretty short topic. I only got about 3 things over in that area. And I just wanted to, and one of the big things that this year is, it looks like the MLB season is going to be delayed again, unfortunately, possibly till May, which is really unfortunate. But, one of the big changes that is going to be reverting back to changes pre-COVID season is that the National League is no longer going to have the DH, which for the longest time has been the precedent. A lot of people liked the universal DH and thought, that was going to be the future of baseball, but at least of this year, pitchers will be batting again in the National League. I want to kind of get your guys' idea on it. Do you guys think that the universal DH should be a thing in baseball, or do you think that it's cool? Personally, I think it's cool that there is a difference between the two leagues. I mean, way back when, the American League and the National League were literally just 2 separate leagues where, the umpires were different. The equipment was a little different. There were different requirements for the bats and the baseballs and stuff like that. Everything was different between the American League and the National League. Now that it's all together, the real only difference between the two now, the only real difference between the American and National League now is the fact that in the NL the pitchers bat, and in the AL there's a DH. Do you guys think it's time?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the fact. I like how it kind of puts a separation between the two leagues, but I really think at the end of the day it should be totally up to the players and the team's discretion. Because I mean, there might be some guys out there, they just came off a short rest week, threw probably a ton of pitches, and maybe they're not feeling the most confident in their arm, and they really don't want to go out and take some swings after they just threw 30 straight fastballs, So granted, well, it's something really cool that's always made baseball interesting in that sense. It was awesome to see pitchers that never normally bat in the World Series having to step up to the plate and take one for the team. But I think at this point it should be totally up to the player's discretion and the team as well.
Yeah. I mean, I love seeing that, the hashtag on Twitter where it's pitchers who rake, and it's just Madison Bumgarner absolutely just going yard. I mean, I love to see it, but unfortunately there really aren't that many guys who do it. I still like to see it because it just is that difference, and it really is just one of those unique things about baseball that not a ton of other sports have. There really is no difference between the Western and the Eastern Conference and the NBA outside of just the teams that are in it. It's not like the shot clock is a couple seconds faster in one league versus the other. That'd be a kind of an interesting concept, but there really is no true difference like that. And I kind of just and I feel like that is one of the last niche things between all these different leagues that I wish would stay, but I feel like that's not where the popular opinion is at this point in time.
Carter, what you thinking on this?
At first I was I just like watching pitchers bat. It's cool. But then you're talking about the whole rest thing. You swayed me.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of athletes are being more focused than ever on their health and body. And I think if you give the option of these pitchers to avoid more stress on their arm than necessary, I think they're just going to opt out of batting every time.
Yeah,
they should only require it in the World Series.
That would definitely be something cool.
I'd be okay with that. If that had to be the drawing line where it's all right, we're gonna get rid of it, but in the World Series it has to be like that. I feel like if it was either that or nothing, I'd take that.
Yeah.
I
totally
agree. And you got pitchers who haven't swung a bat all season going up to bat, and you don't know if they're going to be super energetic and blast one out of the park or just not be able to hit it.
Yeah, who knows? They could have been taking BP all season long in preparation for this.
I mean, that reminds me of two stories where I'm thinking of just as a baseball fan. I mean, I remember it was a couple of years back, Adam Wainwright was at the plate for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he ended up hitting a ball. I don't know what happened, if it was just a ground ball or something. And I don't know if he tore his Achilles, but he aggravated something in his leg, and he ended up missing the rest of the season on a play where it's just if he isn't in that situation, he doesn't end up suffering that injury. So there was like a big call for the universal DH at that point. And then I remember, but for the people that are like, I also could see it where it's like, maybe pitchers who want to bat and are really successful at it, like a Madison Bumgarner. I remember, I forget, how many years ago this was now. Maybe it was like 2017 or 16. Not really too sure, but they were playing the A's in Oakland, so it was American League rules. So it's a DH, but but even with the DH, you are allowed to just say, hey, we don't want to have a DH today. We just want to have our pitcher bat. And I remember Madison Bumgarner ended up coming up to the plate in the American League, and I think he went like 2 for 4. He had himself a day. So I mean, maybe there is kind of a future in it where maybe certain pitchers can bat, but others can't. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I'd like to see it continue, but that's just the way. That's just unfortunately the way baseball's going at this point in time. And then one of the last couple of things I wanted to talk about in MLB, really quick segment, was that the Red Sox officially signed former Rays outfielder Hunter Renfroe. He this year he kind of had a pretty much a kind of a down season. He batted 156. Really didn't do too great, but Alex Cora says he has a swing made for Fenway Park and kind of sees him as a guy who could maybe be be in the fold for years to come. I've heard that swing made for Fenway Park thing 1,000 times, where it's just like, oh, he's going to be perfect at Fenway. He can drive the ball here. And it just doesn't work out. Some guys have been able to do it, like JD, like Manny, and other guys like that have been able to, really take that moniker and be like, yes, 100%, I have a swing made for this park. But other guys, it really just falls short. So I'm excited to see what this guy could do. If maybe Cora and some of these other guys can maybe like resurrect this guy's batting average. I heard, from what I've seen, like he's decent. He's had other decent seasons. He's also been called the Walmart Mike Trout, because if you look at him, he literally looks like Mike Trout. So, I'm hoping this isn't the big move that the Sox make this offseason, because I think that, we definitely more if we want to end up competing eventually down the line.
Yeah, he's going to be a solid veteran presence, but I will not be tuning into the Red Sox until they get Mookie Betts back. I still can't even get over that.
Yeah, that is still heartbreaking in my opinion. The way that happened, I'm gonna need them to get it. I need them to at least get some pitching before I can really start to take them seriously again. The way they performed in 2020, people didn't think they were really going to be contenders, but they were like historically bad. If you took this record that they had and compared it to a 162 game season, it was going to be one of the worst Red Sox records, I believe, since like the 60s.
Yeah, thank God it was over quick.
Yeah, it was bittersweet. So luckily that was the case there. And then I feel like that's probably all we have baseball wise. That's actually was really a quick segment baseball. But I feel like one of the things I wanted to transition to was actually the world of boxing / MMA. It's also kind of gonna slightly blend into our pop culture a bit.
Bye.
Because
Yep.
It's really we're actually not really talking about professional boxing in this sense. We're more just talking about like the comical aspect of boxing. Tyler, you've heard that Logan Paul is gonna be fighting Floyd Mayweather, right?
Yeah. What is he smoking?
He's gonna get his ass kicked.
He might die in that ring. It's kind of crazy that he challenged Floyd Mayweather like that. Obviously, one of the probably one of the greatest boxers of all time.
I personally think it's just crazier that Floyd even gave him the time of day and said yes.
Yeah, agreed.
If I'm Floyd Mayweather, I'd look at this guy and I would just be like, "Who the hell are you? I'm arguably the greatest boxer of all time. I'm 50-0. Why am I wasting my time on a stupid YouTuber?"
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. I'm actually really shocked that Floyd did take this fight. The only thing that I really could give Logan Paul, frankly, is the fact that he is just so significantly bigger than Floyd. Floyd's like what, like, I don't know. Let me look that up. Floyd's like a smaller guy, but he's also known for not being able to be touched really.
Yeah, he's very quick in the ring. Granted, I don't know much about boxing, but
yeah, he's hard. He's considered arguably one of the greatest defensive fighters, of all time. Yeah. So Floyd's 5'8". Logan Paul. Yeah, Logan. Okay, it actually comes up right under it. So, and Logan Paul is 6'2". So Logan does have him in the height category, which, I don't know how many how many really tall guys Floyd has fought in his career. So I mean that is kind of an advantage to Logan, but
I think
I mean
I think Logan's reach will not outweigh Floyd's technique and experience, in my opinion.
I feel like Floyd's just going to get up against the ropes, let Logan punch himself out, and just land the one or two blows that's just going to put him out for the fight.
Yeah,
that's all he needs to do. Like, he's the greatest defensive fighter, possibly ever. And I feel like if you just let Logan Paul punch himself out, this fight could, I don't even think this fight could last maybe like 5 rounds. I don't even think it's lasting that long. Yeah. I don't. Floyd's never really been the guy to go for the kill shot. He's, you saw in the McGregor fight, which went 10. He really kind of just let McGregor, tire himself out. A lot of people thought that. A lot of people were really impressed with the way McGregor fought in that fight. So, I don't see it going nearly as long as the McGregor fight, but but I think that a lot of people do kind of underestimate the way Logan Paul's height might factor into this.
Yeah, and agreed. And I also think a lot of people underestimate his work ethic as well. He's very dedicated to this, and I think just because he's a troll, like his brand is him being a troll. I think a lot of people discredit him for that, but he works hard. But I mean, it's Floyd Mayweather. He's one of the greatest boxers of all time.
It's money.
Exactly.
I would say his brother Jake is probably more, dedicated, at least in the boxing sphere of things. I mean, we all saw just the brutal knockout he had in Nate Robinson.
Yeah, that was really tough to watch.
That was embarrassing for him. Oh my! I remember seeing that. I thought we literally saw Nate Robinson die in the ring.
Yeah, it was really tough to watch. I mean, and Nate Robinson, he was really on the attack the whole time. And when I was watching it, like I said, I don't know much about boxing, but I was watching him and I was kind of saying to myself, I was like, there's no way he can keep this level of energy up for more than 2 to 3 rounds. And, Jake stayed patient. He held back, and then he just delivered an absolute kill shot to him. And it was a tough fight to watch.
Carter, you remember Street Beefs?
How could I not?
That's what Nate Robinson reminded me of. He reminded me of he literally reminded me of an episode of Street Beefs where the two guys just go at each other. They have no balance on their feet. The fists are just flying about. That's literally what he reminded me of. And I mean,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, they should be in someone's lawn right now.
There should just be metal gates around them. And, Jake Paul basically just said, yeah, I'm a boxer. So it's just like, obviously he was like, I'm going to treat this like a boxing ring. Like, you can't come in here and just expect to, just flail your fist around and have this happen. Like, this is an actual sport that you need to train for.
Exactly.
And it really just clearly looks like Nate Robinson didn't put any real like serious amount of he did. I think
he really didn't. Yeah, I think he definitely was physically into it, but technically, I don't think he really got deep into the technicality of boxing.
Yeah, he probably was just like, oh, if I'm able to he probably did a lot of cardio and stuff like that, and he was like, oh, if my cardio is great, I'll probably just be able to outlast this guy and just fly at this guy with whatever I have.
Yeah,
and it just did not work whatsoever.
Now, did either of you guys end up watching the fight afterwards, Tyson Jones?
I did.
I did as well.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on Tyson Jones?
Mike Tyson dominated him.
That was not a draw.
Yeah, he controlled the entire fight, and the fact that it ended in the draw was kind of, like I said, again, know nothing about boxing, but just from me watching, Mike Tyson controlled the tempo. Now, granted, there was some moments where Jones really showed off his elusiveness. He did that quick little 2-step and little showboating, but
yeah,
Tyson was in it for the kill, and he controlled the whole thing.
Yeah, the decision in that fight was honestly the cheesiest ending I've ever watched.
It's literally to hype. It
was horrible.
That's all it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to get hype for a rematch.
Now, I will say one thing about the whole event, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this too, but I think the way it was put on, it was driven towards a more casual follower of boxing. And me personally, Snoop Dogg as an announcer
Dude,
Loved it.
killed it.
Loved it.
Killed it.
He
dude.
was
Snoop Dogg.
hilarious from the opening bell to the end. That was awesome, and I love
Dude.
the live performances in between. I forget who was the artist. I can't remember, but I love the setup of it, and I just want to get your guys' thoughts on the whole idea of what they're trying to create.
I agree. It's perfect for boxing because not a lot of people follow the actual sport, so
Yeah.
you could appeal to a different audience, and it's going to work. I mean, they're putting on more fights.
Exactly.
And I think getting more celebrity fights in it is also kind of the new wave where it's like, you used to have these heavyweights where it was like, oh, you had Muhammad Ali like early on, then it eventually became Mike Tyson as that guy. And, obviously there's been plenty of guys like in between that have been like just outstanding. But, as we flipped into a new millennium, I mean, boxing, the notoriety behind it really started to die out. That kind of hype just really wasn't there anymore. And I feel like maybe getting some celebrities in the ring to, really, duke it out is probably like the new wave that we're going to end up seeing.
Yeah. And even speaking from personal experience, like I said, I've never watched any like fighting type of sport, MMA, UFC, WWE, none of that. And I decided like it's Mike Tyson, and there was so much hype. And
there's a chance we never see this again. We weren't even supposed to see this.
Exactly. And I found it interesting enough to, find it for myself. Granted, did I pay for it? No, but
StreamEast.live.
Exactly.
StreamEast.live, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah. Damn, I paid for it.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
that is brutal.
Hey, next time we'll go 3 ways on it and watch together, all right?
Yeah, that's when Jake Paul and McGregor are fighting.
Yeah, do you guys do you guys actually think that's happening? I mean, I also heard that I think Ben Askren took Jake Paul's fight offer. Now, Ben Askren, I know him as the only thing I really know Ben Askren for is the guy who got knocked out in 5 seconds when Jorge Masvidal just landed an absolute brutal flying knee to the guy's head. Have you guys seen that clip?
No.
Tyler, it is insane. Jorge Masvidal is a freaking animal. Like, dude, he's literally standing at him with his hands behind him. He's literally standing looking at Ben Askren with his hands behind his back. And as the fight happens, he literally just charges at him, throws a flying knee, and knocks the dude out in less than 5 seconds. It's probably one of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen, just in general. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And speaking on McGregor, I know he's not one to like take that kind of talk from anybody, but I just don't see him coming out to fight the Paul brother because I don't know. Granted, he can make some solid change off it, but I don't know. I think he's moved on personally.
Yeah. Let me pull up just a picture of that knee. I'll pull up a picture of it. Yeah. Do you guys think? I mean, do you think that McGregor should take this fight, or do you think it's just stupid in your opinion?
Carter, what are your thoughts?
I think he's moved on. I want to see it, but he's moved on.
Yeah,
I agree. Right. I think he's past that point of his career.
Let me share my screen. I'll show you guys this. So this is what it looked like. Yeah, that was the flying knee, like just into the guy's face. 5 seconds into the round, that's what happened to him.
Oof.
Yeah,
that is brutal.
Right. That was just. It was one of the most brutal things that I've seen. Tyler, after this fight, look that up. You're gonna be like, oh my god.
Yeah, I definitely will check that out.
It's one of the most brutal. It's one of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen. Like it was disgusting, and he's on the cover of UFC 4 for a reason.
So, Bri, you guys ready to jump into our final segment? Kind of a new segment we're gonna throw on in here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so with it being the end of the year and all, and it's gonna 2021. We're hoping things end up being better than this year, which has just been a complete cluster F. But one of the things we did want to talk about was picks for our possible album of the year. There have been some amp projects this year, but there have also been some really solid projects. Some of the ones that I thought about were Circles by Mac Miller. That was a pretty solid album. Carter, I know you were a fan of Wanna by one of your favorite artists, Gunna. I personally, maybe this is unpopular, but I thought Logic's final product, No Pressure, was really good. I thought Polo G delivered another. It just keeps getting better when he dropped The Goat this summer. Legends Never Die by Juice WRLD was an awesome posthumous album. Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, I thought was more of a playlist where it was just kind of a collection of the songs. Really had no like certain pattern to it, but I thought the songs that were on there were awesome.
It was a good tribute to his career.
Yeah, I thought Man on the Moon 3 by Kid Cudi, absolutely
great album.
I thought that album was sick. And then kind of just to switch out of the rap thing, I don't know if Carter's heard it because I know Tyler isn't a country fan whatsoever, but I thought Starting Over by Chris Stapleton was a great country album.
Yeah, not a big country guy here.
I am a huge fan of Chris Stapleton, but I have not listened to that album. I love his voice.
Dude, first track on there, Starting Over, is absolutely great.
All right, so what are we locking in for final picks album of the year?
Mine was kind of controversial at first, but I am gonna change it because
Carter.
No. Listen. It is not. There's no way, baby Pluto, whatever you want to call it, Pluto, baby Pluto is the project of the year. No way. Okay, but that album turned into my playlist. Okay, that was on repeat. So for me, I listen to that one the most.
So
when we're talking about a well put together project, yes, I've thought it through a lot. You can't overlook Detroit 2 by Big Sean.
Really?
And you can't overlook Savage Mode 2. You just can't, dude.
Okay.
Really?
Those are my 2 picks for album of the year.
Really?
Yes.
So for anyone, we'll talk about this after we make our picks, but for anyone who didn't see on the show, we actually had a discussion, the day before about those album picks, and we'll get into that a little later. My album picks, I've been saying it for a while. I thought The Goat by Polo G really killed it. That was a favorite of mine, I think I'll probably say Starting Over by Chris Stapleton. All in all, it was a really well put together country album. One that I really just want, something that I really haven't been able to really say in a while. I think Morgan Wallen's album in 2021 is a good shot to be one of those. I mean, I know Carter's a huge fan of Morgan Wallen, so hopefully that pulls itself together. Tyler, what are your picks?
Yeah, my absolute lock for album of the year, in my opinion, is Pray for Paris by Westside Gunn. If you have not heard the album or Westside Gunn himself, I highly recommend you to check it out. He's got a lot of great features on it. Joey Badass, Tyler the Creator, Freddie Gibbs. A lot of tracks are produced by The Alchemist, which also, you never heard The Alchemist, you're under a rock somewhere. He's amazing. And then coming up very close behind them, at around second and third, I'm going to put Savage Mode 2 as well. I got to agree with Carter. That was a great album. That put me in my Savage Mode the day it came out.
Metro Boomin does it different, dude.
Metro Boomin does not do anything less than 115%. And then finally running it up at third, I'm going Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen. Granted, I can't put it at the level of the first 2 Man on the Moons, but what I can do is say it was a great Kid Cudi album. You're
not putting it above 2, at least?
No.
Dude, Tequila Shots is a good song.
No,
that's a classic already, dude.
It was a great, but it wasn't. There was a lot of Travis Scott influence in there, which I don't really consider it a pure Kid Cudi album.
Gotcha.
And personally, I think just nostalgia effect and just like transcendedness. The first 2 definitely take the cake, but yeah, those are my locks for album of the year. And also, if I got to throw in one more, I'm throwing in The Weeknd's project. I mean, look at
how could you not?
Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
He absolutely snubbed at the Grammys, by the way.
Dude, After Hours killed, dude. Dude, yeah. And then speaking of which, Carter had yesterday, which it was a very controversial pick for album of the year, and it caused Tyler and Carter to kind of go into a little bit of a beef. I told them to hold it for the show. Carter, why did you think that Pluto Baby Pluto was in your running for album of the year at first?
Because it was the only album this year that literally turned into my playlist. I could listen to every track on that album and be content.
Damn.
And not want to skip.
I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, I thought the album was fine. I would say it was more. I mean, of the Uzi projects that came out this year, I might put it towards the bottom of the Uzi projects. I'd say that the two.
Most definitely. I mean, Eternal Take was like the main project he put out, and it was phenomenal. And
Yeah.
the deluxe for that, he had all of his features on there. It was he did the beginning of the year perfectly, but I
Yeah.
think this was a good supplement to follow up, and I think he just collabs very well with Future.
Yeah. All right. But boys, there's one music project that I think can either make or break 2020 right now, and it's coming out Christmas Day. Whole Lotta Red by Playboi Carti.
These are pre-Whole Lotta Red takes.
This is pre Whole Lotta Red. We need to see.
We haven't even
Whole
gotten
Lotta
there
Red
yet.
is.
Oh, how can I not mention? That's what they all say. Jack Harlow, dude.
Okay.
Did you guys listen to it all the way
I
through?
did not, but I've been listening to Tyler Hero like on repeat for the past
Yeah.
Bro, listen to
Facts.
Baxter
Forever.
Avenue and listen to Cream. I'm telling you, those two songs, they will get you in the feels.
Okay.
Word.
All right, but boys, Whole Lotta Red. Is it gonna live up to the hype? This is on the in comparison, this is on the, I would probably say this is in the hype sphere of Travis Scott's Astroworld, of Uzi's Eternal Atake, and Playboi Carti needs to, and this is Playboi Carti's just saying, I had this project, he's had this forever at this point. It's just like, it never seemed like Whole Lotta Red was ever going to drop.
Yeah.
The album cover is it's a tribute to 1970s / magazine. It looks like, do we actually think that, I mean, do you guys think that the album is going to live up to the hype?
I sure hope it does.
It has to. We've been pulled on a string for so long. If it's not the greatest Playboi Carti album of all time, I will never listen to Playboi Carti again.
Yeah, I mean, he's not getting my streams anymore if it isn't good.
No.
I mean, if he comes out like he did on Dial It and on his initial like self-titled album, and he's talking in a normal tone of voice, has a good shot to be fine. If he comes out like on that song At Meh, where he's just in that baby voice the entire time, bad. I will that album will be just trash in my opinion if he comes out on that baby voice. I'm praying that he just puts that away and says like, okay, yeah, I have no idea what that was about.
I think personally, if A, it matches the level of Dial It, and B, we finally get the real release of Kid Cudi with the potential Kid Cudi feature.
Dude, yeah, you saw Kid Cudi's going to be on that song.
Yeah. Dude. But if we get it.
Dude, isn't it a Kanye? Isn't the album supposed to be produced entirely by Kanye too?
Totally produced by Kanye.
It has a shot to be up there, dude. I mean, it's got that potential, man. We just gotta wait and see. Hopefully, it lives up to the hype. I mean, if it doesn't, I'm gonna be kind of heartbroken, man. Just saying. And then also in pop culture news, we had the video game Cyberpunk 2077. It's pissed off a lot of last gen gamers that are still on the Xbox One and PS4. The graphics right now are looking absolutely terrible. It's for once GTA fans are actually saying like, oh, we'll be patient. We'll wait for the next game.
Gladly wait for the next GTA game now.
Because it's like after seeing like the way Cyberpunk is, just like the way it's kind of looking at these consoles, they're just like, you know what, maybe we don't need a game rushed to get to us. Maybe quality is better. Maybe quality is the thing we need to wait for instead of just like the amount of time.
I must say they definitely took their time on the PC version, because I've been playing it lately and it is crystal clear.
Exactly. It's not like the game is bad. Like, just don't complain. Just buy the new console. It's not like people are going to make games for old consoles.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that is the case with that. I mean, I probably wasn't going to get it anyways. That really wasn't my style. But I mean, a lot of people are just saying, even with it on the PC, some people are just saying that in general, like GTA kind of had more realistic graphics, kind of not graphics, but more realistic physics. I don't know if you guys thought that.
Yeah. GTA definitely, like, it feels more real. Like when you're playing GTA, you really get like into it.
Cyberpunk feels like a fever dream.
Exactly. And granted, GTA does have help in the fact that it is present day, and it's I also, the music of GTA, it's all like modern artists at the time, stuff we all listen to. So that definitely helped. But yeah, it feels definitely more real than Cyberpunk does.
Yeah, 100%. And finally, before we end up going down to the wire, I thought this was kind of an interesting take. Kentucky Fried Chicken and Lifetime have paired to collaborate, and they've created a mini movie romance drama titled "A Recipe for Seduction," where basically where Colonel Sanders is played by Mario Lopez, and it's essentially a fried chicken Christmas love story movie, and I don't know how to react to this, boys. Frankly,
maybe we should get a copy of it and do it down to the wire live reaction.
Maybe I'd be down to do it. It's 16 minutes long.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I'm very concerned as to how this might turn out. I'd be down to do a live reaction though. I mean, that could be very interesting.
Carter, you in?
No, but I'll watch.
All right. So I think that pretty much covers everything we have in our show map. And boys, it is officially 9:17, and I think it's officially time to say that we are now down to the wire.
Yeah, this
We're
was
like an auctioneer. Do it like a horse collar. Come on.
Yeah.
This was a long one.
Then, Carter, if you're gonna do it like an auctioneer, then you do it. Oh wait.
No,
you mean like go through the stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously. I mean, we're officially down to the wire. It's what we do.
It's what we got to do.
It means that we're gonna go everything we talked about in like the past 2 freaking hours.
It's been we surpassed like an average Joe Rogan. This has been fun.
Damn, boys. I mean, I'm kind of gassed, but I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel terrible.
Yeah, true. I do feel kind of crappy. But let's go through everything we talked about. So, I mean, we started off by welcoming you guys all back. We talked about what we'd been going on since our hiatus. We talked about Tyler starting up the Be Under Par podcast. And
Be Under Par. Make sure you follow on Instagram, b.under.par. Like and comment.
They're on Spotify and YouTube. We had a special guest from the Be Under Par squad. Connor Bailey stopped by. Thank you so much to Connor for stopping by.
Shout out CB Golf as well.
I also talked about my fantasy football struggles in a very unfortunate loss to Adam Wright before kicking things off in the NBA. We had Jake Marchand stop by to give his thoughts on the James Harden situation in Houston. Plus, we talked about basketball returning. We talked Warriors Nets and Lakers Clippers. We talked how far we thought the Celtics could go this season. And about former Celtic Kyrie Irving burning sage in TD Garden before the Nets blowout win. We talked about all the Ball brothers at one point officially being back in the NBA. Shout out to Josh Jenkins. He was the one who had requested that topic when it originally happened. LeVar Ball called the Pistons raggedy when they released his son. In NFL news, we had Adam Wright guest spot on the show. We talked a little more about fantasy football. But we also talked where do the Patriots go from here after being eliminated. We talked Bruce Arians. We talked about Josh McDaniels to Tampa. Trevor Lawrence, should he refuse to go to the New York Jets if they get back in contention? We also talked about them losing out. We also talked about them losing out on that pick. We talked about the rise of Jalen Hurts in Philly, absolute stud. We also ended up talking Juju Smith-Schuster saying that he's going to stop doing TikTok dances. I mean, with the way the Steelers have been playing, don't blame it. And then Adam ended his segment here when we talked MVP picks, and we had a general consensus saying that Aaron Rodgers will likely be the 2020 NFL MVP. In MLB news, we discussed whether the universal DH should be permanent. It is not expected to happen in 2021, but it's a difficult decision, especially since it leads to the idea that pitchers may get hurt. And we also talked about the Sox signing ex-Rays outfielder Hunter Renfroe. Corey says he has a swing made for Fenway. Gonna have to wait and see. The guy struggled this year, but maybe he can pick it up back this year in Fenway. In our pop culture segment, we decided to talk our favorite albums of this year. I went with the GOAT and Chris Stapleton's album, Starting Over. Carter, what were your picks again?
Detroit 2, Big Sean, Savage Mode 2, and Pluto, Baby Pluto.
Absolutely. And Tyler, yours again?
Pray for Paris, Savage Mode 2, Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen.
I mean, if we're doing 3, I'll also hop on and say Man on the Moon 3 was great as well.
Yeah.
And then pop culture, we talked about Whole Lotta Red dropping on Christmas. Hopefully we're not getting scammed again, and this actually happens. We talked about Cyberpunk 2077 pissing off some last gen gamers, and we talked about the KFC Lifetime Special, A Recipe for Seduction. We wanted to wish you guys a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We wanted to thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. We really appreciate it. It was awesome to come back and do this kind of just off the cuff and just do this live stream in general. Really thankful for anyone who did tune in. If you guys want to see us maybe do something again over this break, let us know. But from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Tyler Tucker.
Turn the mic on, buddy.
And I'm Carter Adams.
And we hope you guys have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Happy Hanukkah.